You can tip creators with the click of a button. There'll be no fees when you tip Timcast IRL or others, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where you have to wait for payouts. Support Timcast IRL and other creators by clicking the tip button on our Rumble channel. It's wallet.rumble.com. Download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, and step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the App Store. And then, once you download the Rumble Wallet, head on over to boonieshq.com and buy our skateboards. The new Step on Snick 2.0 is available. We've got a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other boards available. You've got the uncancelable board. There's still the the Richie Jackson assault bottle. I think we got a couple of those left still. So head on over to boonies.com and buy yourself a skateboard. They got a bunch of merch over there, so go check that out. So joining us to talk about this and a bunch of other stuff, we got Kangmin Lee.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Who are you? What do you do?
I am the fill-in for Tim because we need some Korean representation out here. And so I am the Korean representative for today. My name is Kangmin Lee. I am a speaker, a cultural commentator. I have two goals in life. It's one, to make heaven full by sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, and also to defend truth and tradition while we own the libs doing so.
Awesome. Dave Jackson's here.
What's up? Davey Jackson, stand-up comedian and alleged criminal on the run.
That's yeah, dude. Where can people find you?
Social media at Davey Jacks. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us.
I liked your outfit, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, I hope the camera's flipping back and forth between the two of us right now.
We look like long-lost twins, but not quite. Maybe like a little inbreeding. Am I allowed to say that?
That was very smoothly done.
You are allowed to say
I'm
that.
at Ian Crossland. If you don't know that, I'm Ian Crossland. Check out my stuff at Ian Crossland on YouTube. You can get me on Rumble X. Send me tips on Rumble with the Rumble wallet, by the way. I'm ready to receive. And go to graphene.movie. Check out this new documentary I'm working on at graphene.movie. It's nuts. Also to my left, working on Shabbat, the legend.
It's not very kosher of me. Good evening, everybody. I am Elaad, White House correspondent here at Timcast, and a good reporter, according to the president.
Yep.
Kangmin, thank you so much for coming on. You're a prolific tweeter, so I'm ready to see that turned into some yapping on tonight's show.
Many are saying that. Many say that I am Kangmin, the rooftop Lee. Many have said that, so looking forward to a great show.
All right, so smash the like button, share the show with all your friends, head on over to timcast.com and join our Discord, head over to Rumble and become a member there so you can watch the after show, which it's Friday, so there's not going to be an after show today, but you can watch Monday through Thursdays. We do the uncensored after show. We get to talk about whatever. We don't have to worry about the YouTube censorship stuff, but we're going to jump right into it here. From NBC News, Don Lemon pleads not guilty to Minnesota church protest charges. The former CNN anchor was inside a church on January 18th when protesters disrupted a service. A pastor there, demonstrators allege, worked for ICE, as if that justifies it, right? From St. Paul, Minnesota, journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon pleaded not guilty on Friday to charges connected to his coverage of protests over federal immigration enforcement in Minnesota. I mean, I love the fact that right off the bat they're taking a side, right? Like they're not saying that he was a participant. They're saying that he was covering it. So they're poisoning the well right off the bat. But NBC continues, during the brief, highly procedural hearing, Magistrate Judge Douglas L. Micco reminded Lemon of his constitutional rights and asked if he understood the charges against him. Lemon answered in the affirmative before the judge said he was free to travel unless he were to violate any state or federal laws. A prosecutor also revealed on Friday that authorities seized Lemon's phone during the arrest and have obtained a warrant so they can look into it. Now, that I think is the actual interesting part. Considering Lemon was, I mean, like I said earlier, he was, you know, if you watch the videos, he was very much a participant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to use, obviously he's using the defense that, you know, it's the First Amendment right to cover this stuff, et cetera. But he showed up with coffee for all the people that were the protesters. You know, he was saying he continued to use the collective
and thank them.
Phrases. Yeah.
Thank you for your what a bunch of warriors, you know.
Yeah. Impressive.
Support the troops.
You know, but I think that's the fact that they have the warrant for his phone is probably going to be some pretty damning evidence. I mean, what do you think?
I'm just saying, I don't want to see what's in that phone, man. If we know anything about Don Lemon, man, I don't want to see anything in that phone.
Don Stinky Fingers
Don
Lemon,
Stinky
right?
Fingers. Hey, but I don't know if you guys saw that video. Sergio, do we have that video? There's a video going around where there's a bunch of women, like fat liberal women, outside of his, where he's being, you know, where whatever's happening in Minnesota, where he's there, and it's just fat liberal woman waving around dildos.
Oh,
And
really?
I know this is a family-friendly show,
Hell
but
yeah.
I kid you not, this happened today, and
The WNBA.
Don would be so proud.
and it's like,
Honestly.
what are we doing here? It's just fat liberal woman going around protesting. Remember your constitutional rights, free the press, and they're waving around dildos.
Does he even have press credentials still?
I mean, I think he does. I think technically anyone that says that they're press nowadays kind of can be press.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're not going into a place where you have to get authorization from officials or what have you. And they certainly weren't looking for authorization from the church. They just stormed in and interrupted the service. And I mean, from what it looked like on the videos that I saw, they were intimidating parishioners, trying to scare people. Don Lemon made comments afterwards about how, he saw that people were intimidated and that was basically a good thing, or at least that's what he was alluding to.
I think he just had a crush on the pastor, dude. I wouldn't leave that guy alone.
He was a Chad. I mean, that pastor was pretty much a Chad. Supported ICE. Loved this
I
country.
believe he was in ICE. He worked for ICE, if I'm not mistaken.
Not the
Even
one he
better.
interviewed. It was a separate one.
A separate pastor
A
from
separate
that
pastor
church, though,
was like,
or-
from that church.
Okay, so
supposedly.
that's why, by the way, I believe that church was targeted in particular because not that makes it right, but that's the reason why they targeted that church.
But I think it's such a bastardization of the First Amendment. I think the founders saw that the First Amendment was being used to justify a bunch of ICE protesters storming into a church and disrupting a church service. I think they'd be very, very disappointed. I can't speak for them, of course, but I think they are rolling in their graves because it is such a bastardization of what the First Amendment was there for. And it's like the gall of these people to say, oh, it's your First Amendment right to go in and storm a church while they're having a church service. Is nothing sacred anymore. It's insane.
Well, not only that, just storming in and interrupting, that violates the First Amendment rights of all the people that are in the church.
Yeah,
like
you're
people
right
are
to-
forgetting about the fact that, the protection of religious services, or your right to express yourself, or to practice your religion, that's in the First Amendment as well. So that your desire to cover the protest or your right to protest does not trump your right to express yourself in your religious service.
Especially, it's a peaceful assembly. First Amendment protects your right to peaceful assembly. So if you trespass and scare people with a loud, raucous aggression, that's not really peaceful. So the idea is you're out on the street, you're not blocking, activity, and you're not scaring people.
Well, look, as a kid that grew up going to church multiple times a week, I would have loved if some protesters stormed in during one of my church services just to, mix things up a little bit, dude.
Destroy the monotony.
I really, just wake me up,
So I don't
Waiting
on
for
my
this
toes.
moment your whole life.
Literally, dude.
Finally happened.
Yeah.
These churches, they're not a public place, so I don't think most reasonable people would think they're fair game for like First Amendment protests. But as far as the Don Lemon stuff goes, I don't know if it rises to the occasion of like collaboration or whatnot. I think what I saw was that he recorded them, knew about it ahead of time, which many journalists are tipped off ahead of time when protesters do stuff like this, both on the right and the left. And then the bringing the coffee thing, I don't know if that like rises to the occasion of collaboration. I still think Don Lemon's a piece of shit, and I still think he engaged in some harassment, and I think his goal was still to encourage the people there, but I think it's like a dangerous standard to try to achieve. I'm still old enough to remember when me and other reporters were covering the January 6th riot and inside the Capitol, and Elijah Schaffer in particular. I remember, I believe he was in Nancy Pelosi's office even, but he wasn't charged with anything. Not that, and he shouldn't have been. And some journalists get some protections here. I think the punishment, the process is the punishment in this case with the DOJ going after Don Lemon. And that's the case for a few other cases that they have going on. Well, regarding Tish James, I think the process is the punishment. And same with James Comey. I think the process is the punishment. This is something Trump himself went through. So when he's throwing it back in the faces of these people, I don't think he really gives a shit.
What would you say to people that say things like, well, the law that he's being charged under protects people that are going to abortion clinics as well as people that are expressing, going to a religious service or whatever. And there have been a bunch of times where people have been arrested or the cops have said to people that are protesting abortion, move along, etc. If you get arrested for praying outside of an abortion clinic, I can't see how this wouldn't rise to the same level of offense if he's going into the church, right? So if you're outside of an abortion clinic praying silently, right, or talking to people, you say, oh, hey, do you really want to do this? Are you sure you want to have an abortion? If someone's going to do that and they're going to get arrested for that behavior, then I think that Don Lemon going into the church, I think that all the people that went into the church, I think that rises to the same level of intent.
I think the protest leader that led the people into the church is being charged. Also, I don't think people are pro-lifers. Kingman, maybe you could fact check me on this one. So far as the people outside of the abortion clinics, they don't get arrested. But I do think there was a group of people who went inside these abortion clinics, refused to leave. Those people were charged. The president eventually ended up pardoning them. That doesn't justify the stuff that goes on in the church, and the protesters who went into the church are being charged. But for example, do you think the pro-life activist media person who goes into the clinic with the protesters should also be arrested if they're just filming it, even if they do have an affinity for the pro-life groups?
Well, I don't think they should be arrested at all because I think they're saving babies. So they're doing a great job.
Sure.
Not that I encourage...
if abortion is legal and you're obstructing these healthcare facilities from providing that legal service.
I guess there's like that line where, okay, is it moral, but is it lawful? And there's a discussion to be had there for sure.
Because you're a big pro-life guy.
Yeah, I'm a huge anti-abortion guy. I think it's unjust. I think it is a modern day genocide that many people look over just because the babies are small. But I do think that there have been cases of grandmas who are literally just praying peacefully outside of abortion clinics, and they were arrested by the Biden administration. And so it wasn't just only like super aggressive anti-abortion activists who go into the abortion clinics. Like, it's literally grandmas who are praying outside, of course, vocally, and they got arrested by the Biden administration.
Yeah, but what else were those grandmas doing? You know, those grandmas can be real problematic sometimes.
I don't want to butcher this story. I believe there was, a pastor who went into...
Grok says that there have been people have been arrested while positioned outside or near abortion clinics in the United States. These arrests are not for peacefully standing or praying silently without any additional action. Arrests typically stem from specific violations, physically blocking, trespassing on private property, which Don Lemon definitely did, disorderly conduct, which that is what Don Lemon has done, resisting arrest during protests, interfering with business operations. So essentially it boils down to there have been people that have been arrested when it comes to abortion under the same law. And so so because of that, I would say that what Don Lemon engaged in absolutely rises to the same level.
Even worse, I would say. Even worse.
You could make the argument.
And it's like, I don't know how you wouldn't make the claim that he wasn't collaborating. I don't think you can make the claim he wasn't collaborating with them when he literally got them coffee and he was saying, we did this, hey, good job to them, and congratulating them, and he went with them. And the fact that, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures of like the children crying and scared, and there's tons of stories that come out from the people who are actually there of, you know, these ICE protesters getting really violent, really in the faces of children, saying obscenities in their face, not letting them go anywhere. And
I wonder, where is the line? Let's say I was the journalist who was tipped off about this event and decided I didn't bring coffee and I didn't say we while being there, but I then otherwise recorded everything going on. Should I be indicted for anything if that were the case?
Well, if you were literally a bystander just recording, right, as a journalist.
Well, I would be trespassing, right? Because I wouldn't have been welcome there, and probably, so at the very minimum, breaking the law of trespassing.
Well, I do think, intent matters too, and also that's proven in a court of law. But if you were just there to document what was going on, then yes, it's fine because it's just journalism. But clearly, Don Lemon had an agenda, I feel like, and it's just clear by all available evidence that he was proud to be there, and he was happy to be there, and he was happy to collaborate with these violent protesters and these agitators who went in and disrupted church service. And so I think he should be arrested.
I understand your point a lot, but I think that the real facts on the ground, the fact that the government has prosecuted people for the FACE Act, which that's the particular law that was broken, for things like inhibiting, trespassing, etc. That standard has already been set. And so when the FACE Act was passed, the inclusion of religious services and stuff, that was like a gimme to get Republicans to sign on, right? Like really they were focusing on abortion clinics. That's why it was created. They were worried about conservatives and pro-life people protesting or talking to people as they go in and again, do you really want to do this, etc. And so they threw it in there to give a bone to conservatives, because nobody protests churches, unless it was unless it was like Scientology theology. I think they get protests sometimes, but otherwise, like for the most part, religious services were fairly benign, and most people didn't think it would ever come to anything. And so I think that because of the history with the FACE Act, I think that precedent has been set, and now I think it's incumbent on the Justice Department to actually follow through and prosecute these people. And I think Don Lemon has actually one of the people that made this a national story.
Yeah.
If he'd received the footage, like if these protesters had strapped on GoPros, they trespassed, they scared, they did whatever, and then they sent the footage to Don Lemon and he's like, oh, I'm going to report on this, that's no crime there. But if you then, it's like a bank robbery, if you as the reporter participate with the robbers to go commit the crime and you're there with them inside the bank recording them, you've stepped over a line. You're not just reporting now, you're part of the process. And that's my take on it.
What if you're tipped off to potential criminal activity going on in the future? So these protesters will often tip off journalists to come cover their events. Do you think they're
Then the
collaborators?
reporter has a duty to report that to law enforcement.
Okay, I don't think they do, and I think that would not. It wouldn't make them a journalist if they did.
Well, I mean, what depends on the law. I guess if it's a law that you think should be broken, you have a moral obligation to violate that law.
I mean,
Well, you don't know if a law is being broken. Protesters tell you, hey, we're organizing at XYZ and we plan to do something here. That's how they'll do it. And it's actually very common in the protest scene. That's why you'll always see photographers and you'll get a ton of footage of stuff because they tip off the journalists ahead of time. You don't know explicitly what's going to happen.
Don Lemon knew what was going to happen. That's part of the problem.
Did he know what the extent of what was going to happen?
He knew that they were going inside.
And like the fact that the thing he does immediately as he goes in isn't to document what's going on, ask the protesters why are they protesting. He goes straight to the pastor.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's part of the scheme where you disrupt a church service and you go straight to the pastor while he's giving a sermon. It's like clear what his intent was.
And if the fact that he went straight to the pastor means that he was in communication with these protesters, because they ostensibly went there because the protester was allegedly working with ICE. Even if this guy wasn't the guy, if there was a different pastor that was working with ICE, Don Lemon went to the pastor because he knew that they were going there because someone was working with ICE.
Don Lemon literally went with these protesters to agitate this pastor or a pastor who works at this church to find out who is this pastor who loves ICE, works with ICE, etc. And so I think it is very clear that he went with clear intent.
Yeah, and that's
to
not even bringing up Don Lemon's personal politics, which are of course very, very progressive and very leftist. That this is all stuff that we're talking about, just the facts on the ground. Never mind being mentioning the fact that it's likely that he didn't agree with the religious people and he agreed with the protesters. Like that's something that may come up, particularly because again they have his phone, they have a warrant, they're gonna look into it. And so if he was communicating with them and he knew to the extent that the protest was going to be, then again this only adds to Don Lemon's problems.
Despite whatever fine details that we're going through, I don't think the DOJ will end up charging him. And bigger picture here, I think this is probably the best case scenario for Don Lemon because he is a hero among his peers now. Oh, Donald Trump is coming after me. I'm fighting back against the Donald Trump DOJ. Amongst all his gay friends in Fire Island now, you know who's fighting back against the homophobe fascists in the White House? It's me, and they're coming after me, and I'm a gay icon now.
That same thing can be said about people that go to protest abortion clinics. You don't think that they?
I'm sorry, start from the beginning. I was clearing my throat.
But the same thing could be said for people that protest against abortion clinics. You think if someone goes to an abortion clinic and they're arrested, you don't think that they can be like, look, man, they're prosecuting me for my religious...
Because there's a couple of priests, Kingman, maybe you know their names specifically because it's escaping me, but it was these famous pro-life priests who would go around to these abortion clinics, go inside, end up getting arrested. And it was because they repeatedly did that. They eventually went to jail. Trump pardoned them. But even you, a pro-life advocate, I suspect you don't even know the name of these guys. I think we don't rally around the pro-life flag on the right as many on the left will rally around the anti-ICE messaging. And that's why I think he's becoming more of a hero. People on the right, people in our country don't really care about pro-life issues, and therefore they're less sympathetic to those breaking the law to bring attention to that issue, as opposed to ICE and immigration. People think they're totally justified in obstructing both, ICE officers and, even church services, so long as it justifies and makes them feel about the good about the cause that they're fighting for.
I think that because the left is more vocal about this kind of stuff, right? Particularly now because Donald Trump's in office, Roe versus Wade was recently overturned. I think that it's a hot button issue. I think that because Donald Trump is in office now, the focus on immigration and stuff like that, that's a big deal. But I think that there are probably conservative people tend to be just that, a little more conservative, and I think that people that are pro-life, whereas they won't go and be so boisterous about it. I think that they still will be like, oh, that was a good thing for him to do. And if you're talking about optics.
But Lemon's going to experience the Jimmy Kimmel effect on this. You're absolutely right. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel had no ratings. Then he gets canceled, taken off air, comes back and blowing it out of the water now. Same thing's going to happen with Don Lemon. You're right. He's a martyr for the cause at this point.
Is it consistent with Jimmy Kimmel, though? Because I know that when he came back, he had a big pop because he came back, but I don't think that his show had a resurgence or anything.
Well, he did have Don Lemon on, I think, right? Didn't he interview Don Lemon or something like that? Yeah. There you go.
I mean, people love a martyr, right? People love the martyr story.
Well, I feel like it depends heavily on the political issue and whether or not people think it's justified. On that spectrum, people decide whether or not the martyrdom is worth it and interesting.
Right. But I think there is, whereas, yes, I don't want to make Don Lemon this martyr for this progressive cause and he's fighting against the fascists and the evil Donald Trump. I do think that it is also incumbent on the Trump administration and the Trump DOJ to set a precedent to tell leftists and progressives, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. And the more that we acquiesce enforcing the law that is in place and punishing people who agitate and hurt people or firebomb buildings and things like that, the more that we acquiesce and say, okay, we're going to stick to decorum. Yeah. We don't want to, if we do it, imagine if they'll do it against us. Yeah. I just don't think we're in a place in America anymore where we can kind of stick to those utopian ideals and this vague abstractions of principles when they're literally killing us and they're shooting us and they're celebrating it and they're bombing us and it's and nothing happens because, oh no, it's fascism to arrest these people. And so I think it is really incumbent on the Trump administration to say, no, we're going to have an end to this and all your leftist antics, your violent agitations and all these things, we're not going to tolerate anymore. And we need more of that heavy hand for Trump to rule with the iron fist. They'll call him a fascist no matter what. No matter what he does, he's going to be a Nazi, he's going to be evil Hitler. So if they're going to call you that no matter what, the progressives are going to call you that no matter what. It is incumbent on Trump, I believe, and the DOJ to go and enact justice to protect those who are truly most vulnerable.
Does it matter if they fail to convict and are only able to indict these people?
What do you mean, does it matter?
Again, he might not end up being convicted, but if he's indicted, he has to go through and charged. He needs to go through the entire process. If you're indicted, same again with James Comey, Tish James. If you're indicted, you still need to defend yourself, even if you aren't convicted. Right. And that process is the punishment in many ways. So, it's not the way the criminal justice system was set up. It wasn't meant to be that, we're just indicting somebody and therefore you are guilty. You are innocent until proven guilty, but then you still need to hire a lawyer, go through the process, be stressed out about being investigated by the DOJ. All your shit's probably being stared at by, intelligence agencies and whatnot.
Right, but if the indictment's the point and there's no conviction, then what's the point? It's
the process is the punishment.
Well, right, but it's still political theater at the end of the day, and I'm just kind of sick of political theater.
I think to your point, Elaad, if they fail to get a conviction, I think that people are going to look at the Trump administration as weak. I think that's already the kind of the base of the right wing. They're already upset with the Trump administration. They're not doing deportations fast enough. Trump's not doing this, not doing that. I think that if they fail to get a conviction, it's going to be actually bad for the administration.
Right, I wanted to follow. I'm sorry to interrupt. I wanted to follow up on the SAVE Act and get these specific details here because I think it's really pertinent to what we're talking about. So if I could please have 30 seconds to read this off. So a Catholic priest who blocked access to a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic could face up to 1 year in prison after being found guilty Monday of violating the FACE Act. On the morning of July 7th, 2022, Father Fidelis McKinsky, 52, a priest of a Church of Renewal, effectively shut down a Planned Parenthood in Greater New York in the town of Hempstead, according to the DOJ. He placed locks and chains on the gated entrance and covered some of them with glue, and that prevented anybody from getting through the gate and then accessing their pre-planned health care. Or not even all of these were for abortions. I believe he was convicted and then eventually pardoned. I know you're sympathetic to the pro-life cause. Despite that, do you think he should have been charged based on the actions that he took?
I mean, the reality is we live in a nation, and if we live in a nation with laws, we have to enforce those laws. I don't believe in lawlessness, and if we want to reform if we don't if we have unjust laws, then we need to repeal those laws. We can't have vigilantism and things.
Well,
like
he'd
that,
be
right?
charged on this.
Right.
law.
So
And I just also think it wasn't just these guys standing outside. They may have been arrested, but the people who were charged outside of these Planned Parenthoods were doing more than just standing around and trying to talk to people who were going in. They were gluing and locking these doors shut.
Well, they were saving babies, but I'm not endorsing it. I'm not endorsing those methods.
No, but if you are sympathetic to that cause, then hypothetically, you would say those protests are justified. Again, people protest around the country all the time, and their actions, people, I feel like, view them as justified whether or not they're sympathetic to the cause.
Yeah, of course. But the difference is like we're right and they're wrong.
Totally.
So, and I guess that's why politics is so difficult in this country, because we don't operate from the same moral framework, not even like a semblance of a similar moral framework where the left wants to kill babies no matter what. The right is this amalgamation of different actions of like pro-choice, but not until birth, and then pro-life, and then like really anti-abortion, and just like different people exist in the right wing, but the commonality among the right wing is that they love this country and they love America, whereas the left wants to like burn it all down. And so I think that's why it's very difficult to have any sort of political conversation in this country with those who disagree with us for right versus left. But also, I think it's very important then for us to understand why it's very, very dangerous for the left to get political power again. Because once they wield political power, they'll regardless of whether or not Don Lemon is convicted, they'll use his indictment, they'll use this whole process to say, we're going to go after Trump. And we're going to go after Trump supporters and conservatives and things like that. And so it is very important. This is where I don't really agree with a lot of the people on the right who are, the dissident right, who are like, oh, let's just let it all burn. Just let the Democrats win. Well, no, I don't want to see my fellow Christians and my fellow conservatives and my patriots locked up like they were in January 6th with like hundreds of grandmas in solitary confinement.
And to your point, like the way that the Democrats are positioning themselves now, if they were to like win, and the dissident right says though, let them win, it'll get so bad, and then people will wake up, and then people will actually want to see something happen, a strong man come in. I don't think that that's a good idea, because the Democrats are positioning themselves where if they win, they're going to make it impossible for the right to ever win again.
Yeah.
Like whether it be by expanding the court and getting rid of the filibuster and adding states or what have gerrymandering or whatever. So there's representation in there's no representation for conservatives in Congress. That's the goal of the left, is to get a permanent left-leaning majority in Washington D.C. and they've done it in California.
Yep.
They've done it in Massachusetts. They've done it all over New England. So it's possible to do that for the whole country. And then it'll just be like, well, okay, it was cool when we had a chance, but because people decided, oh, well, we're blackpilling and we're mad that Donald Trump isn't doing enough stuff for us, we're just going to let it all burn down. And if you let it all burn down, it really is the end for the right. There is no coming back from what the Democrats are planning. So.
I think unpopular opinion on that is, don't even go after Don Lemon. Just go after the people who perpetrated this, right? Because you're just bringing more attention. It's the Barbara Streisand effect with Don Lemon at this point. You are creating a hero. Leave him alone. Just act like he doesn't exist, because realistically he doesn't, and just go after the protesters. Yeah. Get more bang for the buck on this.
I mean, they have arrested the two organizers and the woke farmer guy that was doing his best to actually intimidate people. So
just let Don Lemon fade into the black. No pun intended. Holy shit.
I think it's part of their own the lib mentality, where they couldn't let it go. They had to go after Don too, because he had a big name and the president was familiar with him. And he was like, no, we have to take him down too, and to their own detriment and to Lemon's benefit.
Yeah, you want to exercise prosecutorial discretion from time to time, because like you're saying, you have a nation of laws. If you don't enforce the laws, the nation kind of becomes a mockery of itself if it can't enforce laws. But if it can and it chooses not to, there are situations where, like what you were just saying, Davey, is like, yeah, maybe you don't like fan the flames. Maybe. But the thing is, now this is also precedent. So if Lemon does this again, he'll get the book thrown at him, like 20 years in prison kind of thing, because it's already been like, bro, you did it once. Don't do it again. Don't support illegal trespassing and promote it to a million people. So I don't know if you could get away with like throwing the book at him the second time if you don't charge him the first time. So it's kind of like, look, we charged you once before. Obviously you can't. So I don't know. I was gonna say you can't charge him for the same crime twice, but if he does it again,
it's if he does it again at a different place, it's a different crime.
Yeah.
It's not.
So
You know, someone can be charged for the same crime if they did another instance of it. Like if you murder someone and you get found not guilty for murdering, you murder another person, you're not going to be like, well, we can't charge him for murder anymore because he beat the first.
Yeah, but it's stern talking to, you know, and then like, hey, if you do it again, seriously though, Don,
this time,
like we're really gonna.
All right, we're gonna jump to this story from KMBC News. Woman seen trying to set fire to South Kansas City warehouse tied to previous ICE detention proposal. Let's see. A woman was seen trying to set fire to a South Kansas City warehouse on Thursday, the same site that had been proposing as a possible immigration detention center. Video from our crew shows the woman igniting window areas at the building and flames briefly flaring up. KMBC9 reporter Andy Allock says he witnessed the woman throw what appeared to be a liquid onto the windows before the fire started. I think we got some video here.
KMBC9's Andy Alcock. And Andy, I know we'll get to this story in a moment, but you just saw a woman try to set this building on fire.
Yeah, we did, Chris. She just left a few minutes ago, but if we take a look, you can see there's some windows there along the south part of the building, and there might be some scorch marks you might be able to see. That fire did not really catch. It did burn for a little while, but it is now out. Platform Ventures is the owner of this warehouse. Their statement they sent today says in part the sale fell through because closing wasn't done in a timely manner. It's a sharp contrast to what we were told a month ago.
So, I guess that kind of points to the fact that if you want to burn down a building, you probably shouldn't try setting stone on fire.
Well, you shouldn't send a woman to do a man's job. My dad would have that thing up in flames, right? Instantly, dude. Yeah, I mean, she just didn't know what she was doing.
Especially seeing as she had an accelerant. You know, it's not like she was sitting there with just matches.
That was just lighter fluid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just lighter fluid.
She's lucky she didn't set herself on fire.
Is this the story? She squirted lighter fluid on stone and then lit the stone?
Stone and glass, yeah.
Stone and glass. I guess you can melt glass at high enough temperatures, but not with butane fire, I don't think.
No.
You gotta wonder what TikTok set her off.
I do wonder.
You have to
You know it was
it
a
as arson.
TikTok. You know it was a TikTok.
You've got to go with attempted arson, even if there was a 0% chance it could have caught.
No, I think that's still actually arson.
Technically,
I
it's
think
still arson.
Attempt. She actually,
Yes,
there
that's
was fire. Just because she was bad at it doesn't mean she didn't
Just
do
because
it.
it went out
When
real
does it
quick.
become arson if you hold like a Bic lighter up to the stone wall and you're like, it's not lighting, and they're like, arsonist.
I don't know.
But one of the most screwed up parts about this is that she was actually successful in preventing the sale of the building to the federal government. As I understand, the property owner, can you scroll down a little bit? It was
I don't think
paragraphs
so.
under the video. The property's owner, Platform Ventures, said Thursday it is no longer moving forward with any sale of the site to the U.S. government.
I think they said in the piece that it had already
The deal already fell through.
Yeah, the deal had already fallen
before.
yeah.
Oh, so it's just a moron.
It's just another misfire. Another misfire. They are going after people. You're an ICE agent, and they're just not.
Also, the focus of protests below the video. The
Okay,
video above that one. The warehouse has been the focus of protests and public concern after reports surfaced that it could be. So maybe during the process, they helped encourage. It sounds like during the process of when they were trying to sell it to the government,
video of the
protests
woman,
and
actually.
attacks helped encourage them to not do the sale. So in essence, they actually achieved what their main goal was, which is nerve-wracking.
We got some video of her actually trying to do the.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at that muffin
crazy.
top. Hot.
What is this video? She's not even on camera.
Well, I don't know what it's just the.
And the frame.
It's the TikTok stuff.
here we go.
There she is.
She's
yeah.
lit.
Oh, she brought multiple bottles of accelerant.
Oh, multiple windows.
Setting fire to a building wearing sandals.
Yeah.
Yeah, this bitch should get put away for sure. That's some crazy shit.
Genius.
Who is she?
What's the
Spraying
opposite of
lighter fluid on
psychotic.
stone.
Fire is so dangerous,
on
man. Do not
concrete.
mess.
Yes.
She really
And
thinks
just
she's
walking
doing
around
something.
like she's like they're not gonna find her. You know, I'm just gonna stand out here and try and burn this place down, and nothing will happen to me because
White women
I am
are
woman.
feeling way too emboldened to attack, obstruct,
Yeah.
and now commit arson against ICE, DHS, and other federal officers. It's outrageous. Renee Good, the way that our white people are behaving in our country right now is completely outrageous.
white women.
What?
And Alex Preddy, I mean, white men too.
You
This
talking
isn't
about me?
just a woman.
Talking about white men.
Yeah.
Taking offense. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I could see you protesting against ICE, and you look the part.
You have the
I could
physiognomy.
see-
Oh, you'd look so good with a sign,
Hey,
dude.
dude,
I mean, I
Oh.
could see your
want ICE
evil
to
brother. I could see your evil brother counter protesting you. Too.
want all the ice
Yeah,
to
you guys would be on
melt.
opposite sides.
What were you going to say?
We started an intentional fight just for
exactly.
clicks. Yeah, for sure.
Ice.
What is going on? What is going on with women these days? It's just, it is absolutely
Korean
insane.
thing
Like,
you've said.
no, but like seriously, like they think they're like Black Widow. They think they're Natasha from Black Widow. We're gonna beat the bad guys, and then they just commit the stupidest acts of arson and terrorism, and they literally get themselves killed. And it is so insane. And I said this, and this is a tweet that got me fired from my previous job, that women untethered from healthy masculine authority, they become hags and psychopaths. Now,
You got fired for that.
I got fired for that because I
I feel like
said
I've seen
fired
worse
for
tweets
speaking
come
the
out of you.
no, because
I've sworn you tweet about the Jews too. Keep going.
I love the Jews. I love all people. I'm a Christian. But no, it's because in that tweet I said that the majority of people who were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk were women. And these were women who are, untethered from masculine authority. They have daddy issues. They don't have good families, things like
that's
that,
my
right?
favorite.
And it's true. It's true. So then women untethered from healthy masculine authority, they can't channel their healthy, inner femininity, and then they lash out and they become hags and psychopaths. Like truly. And then this is what Renee Good is. Like she left her previous husband and then got married to another woman and started playing house and all that stuff. And then she became this revolutionary and started LARPing as this, I'm gonna beat the patriarchy and beat Donald Trump. Oh, they're the fascists and the Nazis. We're gonna beat and punch a Nazi. And then she got herself killed running over an ICE agent. Yeah. And then so all I have to say is like, woman, I love you, but you just gotta stop. You just gotta stop.
Kingman, to follow up on that point, I know in our country right now, the political divide among men and women is increasing, but it's not nearly as bad as the political divide between men and women in Korea. What do you think we can do politically, socially, to try to bridge these divides? I mean, in Korea, if the men and women don't get along sometime soon, there won't be any Korea left for us. I don't know. Do you recognize those divides, and how do you think we can overcome them?
I think if you actually look at the data, women in America are much more left-wing than the women in Korea. It's just that the men in Korea are just so much more right-wing.
Okay, fascinating.
But it's like most women in Korea don't hate men. If you go to Korea, you're just gonna see couples everywhere. Everywhere you go. Yeah, it's going to be a guy and a girl holding hands, being really lovey-dovey. You cannot escape it, even in the wintertime. Maybe wintertime, at Christmas time, it's romantic, it's nice. But when I was there this past month, there's just couples everywhere. Everywhere, but no children. And that's the problem. Like, they're not getting married because they essentially have the benefits of traditional marriage, right? They spend time together, they're in love, they have sex, all this stuff, but they don't commit to each other because when they commit to each other, there's still this understanding in Korean culture that when you get married, that the woman is the one primarily taking care of the children, but the women don't want to give up their careers. And then so because of that, they delay marriage and then they delay childbearing, and then so they're just not having children. And if you look at the stats too, that only 2% of childbirths in South Korea are outside of wedlock, whereas in America, it's like 40 to 50%. So this idea of childbearing is still traditional in Korea, where it's like, okay, if we're going to have children, we need to do it within marriage. But they don't want to have children because it's going to be an impediment to their career. So that's why they delay marriage, they delay having children. So if you look at the gender divide in Korea, it's not like women are out there like, I hate women. And then women are not like, I hate men. And then the men aren't like, I hate women. It's not like that. It's much more like materialistic in nature. It's really, I would say, like exacerbated by the extreme competitiveness of corporate culture and things like that in Korea. Whereas,
Do you think it's an economic? Is it economics?
oh yeah, absolutely. Where I mean, it is partly economic because the living wages and the wages in general in Korea haven't really caught up to the cost of living. So all things considered, it is still pretty cheap to live in Korea, but the wages are really low. And so there's that component too.
So they're all gold diggers.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Koreans love money.
I'm trying to understand. I don't know. Do you think maybe men should contribute more to the upbringing of the children if that's preventing some women from...
Well, I think there's a lot of different parts, and just a huge multifaceted.
You got to figure this out.
Yeah, I know, but I do think one part of it is the fact that Koreans are so mobile within Korea, and then so they can't form communities. Korea has one of the highest percentages of people, of their population, living in apartments. And if you know anything about apartments, you don't really talk to your neighbors typically. People move in and out all the time, and you're isolated. So then if you're isolated from the rest of the world and you're a mother, you're trying to raise your child, but you're like isolated, you don't have help, you don't have your parents, you don't have your relatives, you don't have other people in your life, your friends who can help you. It's very isolating. And then so who would want that in a modern society, to have children and then to raise them up in your own home? And this is actually something we need to talk about in America too, where the idea of the nuclear family, of course, I believe in the nuclear family, but we need to understand that it does take a village to raise a kid, where asking a woman to just be alone with children all day by herself with the children, with no help from her parents, from her siblings, from people in her community, it kind of sucks. Like, she's just by herself with her children. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Yeah, it's just unsustainable. Like, no one lived like that in all of human history. No woman has lived like that. And so if we want to go back to a traditional lifestyle for families and for marriages, then we also have to restructure society and kind of take a step back, press the brakes, and say, wait. The way that modern society is structured, it doesn't allow for traditional ways of living. And I think that's really exacerbated in Korea, because Korea went from being one of the poorest countries in the world after the Korean War to rapid industrialization to becoming now one of the richest. And so there's a lot of problems there.
We need to send you back to deal with this birth rate crisis, huh?
Hey man, I love Korea, of course. I love America as well.
Be the Korean Elon Musk.
Can you just explain all of this again, but like in Squid Game terms?
But in
That's
Korean,
our Korean fan.
Basically, Koreans need to get married, have more children, and
Build houses if everyone's living in apartments.
yeah, no, they just have to go back to more traditional styles of infrastructure and community building and housing, and so things like that too.
But I also think the culture is kind of shifting, even in the U.S. a little. Maybe not now, but like I was in L.A. last year quite a bit. And the number of women that I encountered that were like, I just want like a real man.
Yeah.
Like a masculine man. Yeah. Well, stop asking him to paint his nails. Stop telling him to get in touch with his emotions. That's
like,
not
it's
manly.
It's so ridiculous. They're like, oh, a real man is secure with his masculinity, so he'll let me paint all over his face and do his nails. I'm like, no, dude.
I mean,
no.
men need to stop listening to women about what women want.
Yes.
Like, if a woman tells a man, this is what I want, she's not telling you the truth. She's telling you what she thinks she wants, and what she actually wants is not what she's going to tell you.
Yes, and
That's
every
really
time
good to hear, because I've heard that I would like to peg you so much, dude, and they don't know what they want, dude.
I've never been asked to be pegged.
That's a sticking point.
Maybe it's because I don't give off any, I don't know.
Well, there's
potentially
grow your hair out, dude.
There's
what
what it
happens.
is. Ian, have you been asked?
There's what the animal.
Have you been?
No, but I was asked to do porn, and it might have been gay porn. There's what the animal wants, like the animal female, the animal male. It's like animalistic what I want. And then there's the brain, which is like, I want a stable, secure thing. If you are nice to me during the day, that's what I want. And it's like, you want an animal that's going to protect you.
Yeah.
And like, if I have to kill to do it, that's what you want, because that's what you need. That's there too, you know? So it's like this.
It's all biological, dude. And if you don't give them that, they try to light concrete buildings on fire.
it really,
That's the whole problem.
It really is. And women
If you don't domesticate these women, they try to burn down ice buildings and peg you. So I think it's pertinent.
How are these problems? These are big problems.
If you don't
to tell them
domesticate them,
no.
they become like gay men,
have to
and it's a big issue in our society.
You have to be able to tell women no. Women.
No matter how good you think it might feel. You know what I mean?
Yes, you no matter how good you might think it would feel. But seriously, you can't sit there and just constantly say yes and be a yes man for your, for the woman in your life. You have to be like, no, we're not doing that. And if there's an argument, you have to stand on what you've said and be like, no, I said no. And if we're going to fight about it and you're going to be angry with me, you'll get over it. You know, I mean,
Start warming up the back of your hand, dude. I'm with you, brother.
And for you.
disavow.
The point is, women.
I don't know. I
don't
hear in
like-
Korea.
The point is, women.
We love
don't-
women here.
Women don't like a spineless man.
Yeah.
If you
Very true.
If you can't stand up to them, they're not going to respect you. So you
Some
have
of them do like spineless men, and it's the ones with colored
ones that
hair
wanna
and
peg
short
you?
bangs. Yeah, and they're typically very, very
septum
large.
piercing too.
Only so long as they're on the SSRIs. But once they hop off of them.
I keep thinking about this, the fall of the Soviet Union as being kind of a turning point for the limpness of the American male, and probably female. Like, we live in fantasy Candyland since '89. Since the fall of the Berlin Wall, every American was like, we own the world now. We don't have to fight to protect. We have machines that'll do that for us. And like dudes kind of just slathered into their video games and their entertainment.
We need another war to put balls back on the chest of American
men. We just need
men.
men to actually stand up and do things. So I'm hearing here is like, oh, you need to stand up to women. You're not going to learn that from a woman.
No,
you're not going to learn that from your mom or your female caretaker. You're only going to learn from a man who says like, yo, women are going to push you to do these things. You have to be strong as men. People always, for years, I've heard as a millennial or whatever, like, oh, you have to be in touch with your feelings. Let you paint your nails if that's being confident, being like at one with your sexuality. But all that ever did was just like, black pill a bunch of these kids into thinking, okay, well now I'll just be trans. I guess that's the easy way out.
Most guys have heard the phrase "shit test."
Yeah, right? Exactly.
It's like they're going to push your buttons. They're going to push to see how you react. Yeah. And the best thing you can do, you don't want to get like angry and feed into that. You have to be like, all right, no. You have to be firm. You don't want to yell and scream because that's getting emotional. You're gonna be like, okay, look, no, we're not doing that. We're, whatever the issue is, don't feed into it. But you have to be able to stand your ground. And I'm not that I'm like some kind of like what's the dudes that are like
red pill?
Yeah, the
manosphere.
I'm not
a former Marine.
I'm not like a manosphere guy at all. But you do have to like be able to retain your frame. You have to be able to be like, okay, this is the way that I see the world. And I'm trying to do something that's good for us, the family, or both of us. And I understand that you want this, but right now we can't do it. And just be able to not remain calm, not feed into it. And, that's what, positive masculine energy is. Just like, no, we're not going to do that. You don't have to yell and scream.
It's being the voice of reason.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, that's what we're supposed to. I'm not the most alpha guy. I get... They ask to peg me all the time. Yes, but, I'm clearly not the most alpha guy. But like
you
me
said
and my girlfriend, we have allegedly we have a great relationship.
Lemon coated.
And
lemon maxing.
Lemon maxing is the new thing. Hashtag that. Let's get it trending. There's nothing wrong with that, dude.
Lemon maxing.
Hey,
nothing wrong with a little lemon party here.
But yeah, you just gotta be able to be a man. Start with like going to the gym.
Yeah, dude.
Take creatine every morning.
Learn how to frame log from your dad, dude.
Yeah, dude. What you gotta do?
Let's smack some frame log.
Yeah, get that hammer, smash your face.
I think there's something.
Learn to hammer your face from your dad, dude. Just tap on your face like this for hours.
I kind of what you were saying, Phil, about like how the woman will aggravate the guy to get to them to do a thing, and the guy has to stay calm. I think that it's like training for kids. Now you got a kid, you can talk more on this. Is like the woman will press the guy. And she's like simulating what the kid is going to do to the guy because the kid's a wild animal at first. Like it's figuring out it wants, it takes. And so you as a man have to stay calm, push back and say, no, this is the path and you're following me regardless. And then deal with the outcome and not flip out. And then it's same for when the guy will push a woman. Oh, there's a way that the man will test his woman too. And it's like, it's the way that you would push against a child. Anyway, I'll think of that second part later.
Stop saying push against. I did
push.
Where the conversation.
Yeah. It's getting.
I think a lot of marital chaos is actually training for how are you going to handle this wild animal we're raising. Like, can you handle it?
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's like if she's going to rely on you to take care of her and take care of the family, she has to be able to rely on you. Like if you're going to be trusted, you have to be trustworthy. And women are going to do different things to find out if she can trust you.
Well, that's where a lot of the manosphere breaks down because like they don't realize that it's earned. You don't just get to do that. Yeah. Like I'm not the best protector and provider, but I can do it kind of, and that's like you just got to get in where you fit in, dude.
Exactly. I've heard a lot of women talking about how like women's like needs for a partner start with like security first and then attraction beyond that because and that's what they have with the shit test and everything like that is because they want to make sure like this person is someone that can be relied upon because back traditionally it would be like the father's family would give the woman to like another family in a sense like that's how it was and that's just like the modern representation of that. It's like, can this person stand up for me and protect me? And
I mean, look, this sounds kind of
we
like...
don't get a dowry. That's...
I know. They got rid of dowry.
This sounds kind of like a hippie thing that Ian would said, but it's like if you want to be trusted, you have to be trustworthy. If you want to be loved, you have to be lovable. That's something that you kind of want women to kind of internalize more. Like if a woman wants to be loved, she has to be lovable. And that means don't go out and act like a feminist that says, I hate men, blah, 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 and then complain because you can't meet the nice guy or find the guy. You know, it's like you have to put out what attracts what you're looking for. So if you're a woman and you want to be loved, be lovable.
Yeah, God forbid a woman submit a little. You know what I mean?
I've been having this mind example that I do where I think about it, and like, okay, it's the year 1620 AD, and the peasant woman has her husband who's got like warts on his face. Maybe he's got some weird disease, but they love each other so much, and he's sickly and he's farming. And then the prince comes, and he's this evil, wicked man, but he wants her. He wants her to be his wife, and she's like, I can stay with my sick husband who will probably die and not give me a child, or I can go be with this rich asshole. And like, how could you say no to the rich asshole? Like, you would. Obviously, the guy's going to give you money and healthy food for your healthy children, a prolonged life.
It's called hypergamy.
It is. And so that's like, in reality, you have to kind of, even if you're the poor farmer, you've got to somehow elicit the strength of the prince. And people think, oh, if I get rich, that'll be, but it's not just rich. You know, it's power.
Dude, you're just saying that because you have prince hair, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew I was talking about Prince the whole time.
Yeah, look at that.
Learn a guitar.
That's Disney Prince hair if I've ever seen
Wear
it. Wear
purple.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant Prince.
No,
The artist formerly known as.
He's the great.
So I don't know. I'm always about like, how do you emulate? I mean, I just usually just be myself and make people laugh. But like, how do you emulate strength without money? You know, you don't need to rely on money. Money's not going to buy you love.
Well,
But it'll give you.
It's gonna buy her a
security.
house.
Yeah,
It'll buy you a house, which is
Her a house.
locked walls where the kid's going to survive.
She
inside
wants a
of,
house.
You know? Yeah,
A woman.
Yeah, you can.
she wants security.
Yeah.
But then if you're inside the house abusing her, they're like, all that security's out the window. So
She's
yeah,
not
if you're
secure if you're abusing her.
you've got to be like the violent
somewhere to
protector and the docile lover. And it's like you got to be able to switch that on and off.
Docile lover?
Docile, maybe it's not the
my
word.
God.
I don't know about docile.
When you're in the bed with her, she does not want you beating things.
I mean,
I mean,
I beg to
you'd be
differ.
surprised.
Maybe she wants
Depends
to
on
see
the
if you
thing.
can.
Ian, have you seen what
dude,
women are
I get
reading
choked a
these
little.
days?
yeah. I mean,
Have you
Women
seen-
ask me to do things that I refuse to do. Like, it's,
Yeah,
they're more
right.
It's a
wild.
liability.
They
yeah.
want to be manhandled. It's disgusting.
it's
frankly. It makes
actually-
me feel uncomfortable.
It's misogynistic. Let's go all the way. It's misogynistic with these women.
It's like, you want me to put my
It's just the
you want me
next
to put
level.
my
Let you
hands on
embody
you?
the
Like, are you trying to
vile.
get me in a? Are you trying to catch me up in something? Are you trying to go to the police after this?
Dude, I have the
Like,
most...
it's not uncommon to be asked to be slapped. It's not uncommon to be asked to be choked. Like, those are like vanilla now among women.
That's entry level, dude.
yeah, no, it is. It is.
Choked and
I'm just
slapped.
saying, like, this.
Not uncommon at all.
I'm not speaking from personal experience. Maybe I am, but the women, they always
a
ask to be
Christian, dude.
choked and slapped and things like that. I have a past too. You know, I've repented. I love the Lord. But the thing is, like, these are the things that women ask for, and you look at all the literature that they're reading these days. Like, it's weird bestiality stuff with minotaurs.
Whoa.
And I'm like,
true.
what is
you know,
going on?
Someone was when it kind of busted onto the scene and was a big topic on social media. I forget who it was that was talking about it, but the reason that it's like all these like animals now is because like feminists kind of have like looked at men and said men are terrible, but they still want the same kind of
animistic.
They choose the bear, dude.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
know? And so instead of having a man be the focal point of their lust or whatever, they've made it into these imaginary creatures.
Yeah,
Men are
octopus and
domesticated. Animals are still wild, and who knows what they could do.
Probably.
That's literally the female mind today, the
Yeah,
modern
it
female
is.
mind.
Birth
right.
control. That's
Be the undomesticated man.
I think we're going to jump to the next story, but that's.
You definitely need a T-shirt that says "docile lover," though.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
And then turn around and be like feral animal. With
All right.
I've already docile lover and peg me on the back.
All right, we're going to jump to this story from the post-millennial. I'm not sure how we got onto this stuff, but it actually ties into the story that we were talking about earlier. Again, from the post-millennial, breaking: Oregon man indicted on terrorism charges over plot to behead ICE agents in Portland. That's a happy headline. A grand jury has indicted an Oregon man on new terrorism charges stemming from an intricate plot to kill ICE agents in Portland. Radon Tanner Coleman Good Lord, that guy doesn't have a father. 18 of St. Helens faces new charges of first-degree attempted domestic terrorism and second-degree domestic terrorism. The charges handed down by a Columbia County grand jury on Thursday are in addition to the 13 original charges that included 6 counts of unlawful manufacturing of a destructive device, 6 counts of unlawful possession of a destructive device, and attempted second-degree assault. Prosecutors said that Coleman did unlawfully and with intent attempt to cause widespread serious physical injury or death and attempt to destroy or substantially damage critical infrastructure. Coleman, who was arrested on February 4th, will be arraigned on Friday afternoon, and Deputy District Attorney Joshua Pond filed a notice seeking a harsher sentence per court records. According to a probate cause affidavit, Coleman allegedly devised an intricate plan to follow ICE agents home as they left the facility on Macadam Avenue and kill them, including by beheading and taking their severed heads as trophies. His plan detailed utilizing night vision goggles to stalk their whereabouts and wearing camouflage clothing to blend in. Where does this guy get the money for night vision goggles?
This guy sounds awesome, dude.
I mean,
It's like a
he's
double
committed
agent.
to the bit, right?
Is he a Muslim revert with the beheading stuff? I wonder where he drew inspiration.
He doesn't look like it.
I know, no, the revert.
You revert to
so-called.
Islam.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't convert, you revert. Everyone's natural basis.
Everyone's
is
born
real
Muslim. Like everyone's
yes.
in the womb is a woman. Just like,
Yeah, you know
Investigators
ball.
found-
You know ball. Nice, yeah.
Investigators found Coleman in possession of surveillance equipment, tactical axes, military knives, shovels, and homemade explosive devices, including Molotov cocktails, which were located in his vehicle during his arrest. Coleman also had been making payments toward the purchase of an AR-15, according to court documents. He went with the night vision.
He had
before
an
the rifle.
AR on layaway, dude. What?
This guy's strapped.
I mean, look,
18.
You can get an AR for pretty cheap. The night,
That's
he went with the
awesome.
night vision first. Those things are
Yeah, but he's 18.
I'm
The night vision was cheap.
Night vision.
Where's
not
he
cheap.
getting this money?
cheap
Where's this
version, though?
18-year-old?
This literally sounds like my closet. This is great stuff.
I don't
mean,
want to. I'm not
obviously.
going to talk about
Oh, well, okay, all right.
You don't want to know what's
All
in my
right.
closet.
the things that I own that are similar to the.
Oh
things
yeah,
that this
my
guy owns.
closet. I have a bunch of firearms and
Yeah, but my
I
closet.
still haven't come out of it. That's how.
yeah, pepper spray. Listen,
The reason that I know night vision, there's a reason that I know night vision is very expensive.
Yeah,
right?
dude.
So
Especially that top level stuff, man.
It's-
13.
yeah. So how did this
$1,000.
18-year-old
Looks so cool,
get this
too. I wanna
expensive
wear
night vision?
goggles.
Good question.
Sort of
You can
begs
see
the
the
question.
stars.
But
No
I mean,
homo. I want to wear your goggles.
so to Elaad's point earlier, you know, these leftists really are getting far more brazen in their attacks. I mean, there's obviously all the attacks in Texas on the ICE facilities. There was a couple. I think there was 3 illegal immigrants that were killed when the shooter was shooting into the ICE facility, and he was trying to kill ICE agents, but he ended up, killing illegal immigrants. Do you think that this kind of stuff, or do you guys think that this kind of stuff is going to be more prevalent in the coming years, or do you think that this is going to reach an apex soon and kind of peter out?
I don't know if I specifically have a blind spot to this, only noticing this happening for leftist causes, and I'm maybe missing all the right-wing causes this violence is done for. But no, I see this as like normalized on the left and encouraged by the left. Shout out to, going back to even Charlie Kirk not too long ago being murdered. Obviously, there were 2 Israeli consulate staffers who were murdered in Washington, D.C. not too long ago. And these, the fire bombings of potential ICE facilities or attacks on ICE agents or doxing of ICE agents, it just doesn't seem uncommon. It seems to be normalized and almost appreciated by people on the far left. They believe the ends justify the means, and they think these people are genuinely evil, and they are superheroes fighting against them. They think they're like, I don't know, Batman or Superman punching like Adolf Hitler in the face comic style. And when you have people who are so self-absorbed and so self-important, I think you're only going to see more of this stuff. So this really begs the question, which TikTok did this kid see before being encouraged to go try to, kill ICE officers?
It might have been actually a Reddit post.
Fuck.
I don't know. Have you
Reddit
guys
is
seen?
sewer.
Have you seen these Reddit posts and these memes from trans people? They're like trans meme humor is just literally shooting people. Like that's all shooting and stabbing people. And we don't condone that here. We disavow all of that kind of stuff, right? But
for people who bitch and moan about dehumanization all the time, they sure love to dehumanize people who don't think that they are the opposite gender.
100%. And like you see, and it's not fringe and niche anymore. It's like it is mainstream on the left where these trans memes where they depict themselves shooting or killing people, like they get hundreds of thousands of likes.
It's mainstream.
Hundreds of thousands of likes.
It's mainstream to justify the murder of Charlie Kirk on the left. Not liberals. I want to make a distinction between the left and liberals, but leftists justify the murder of Charlie Kirk without question. They feel unbothered by it. Why? Because he was a fascist who they believe was causing harm against them. They believe his speech was causing harm against them.
It's so scary because there's millions of people who feel this way. Millions of people who feel this way, that if you are a right-wing person, anyone to the right of Hillary Clinton, you deserve to die because you are dehumanizing me and you are taking away my rights, and it's absolutely bonkers.
You know, we were making jokes about the a TikTok of the lieutenant governor from Minnesota today because she was talking about her native name. I forget what it was. Yeah, I can't pronounce it off the top of my head. But the point that I'm making is she's been seen wearing a shirt that says "Protect Trans Kids" and stacked on top, and there's a knife in between protect and trans, and it's like this kind of stuff is not just discussed on Reddit. This kind of stuff is actually valorized by politicians. And maybe they're not in DC, right? Maybe the people in DC are smart enough to not actually call for violence, but there are plenty of Democrat politicians that do.
I mean, someone close to DC, Jay Jones, who had messages where he wished death upon Republicans and their children.
There was there's a guy in Texas running that said that he's literally running on a platform to kill Donald Trump. That was the way that he phrased it, and he was talking about, well, we're gonna find him guilty, we're gonna arrest him, we're gonna find him guilty, and we're gonna get capital punishment. Didn't bother to mention what crime he was gonna be charged with. Didn't bother to mention what crime he had committed that was worthy of capital punishment. But he was making it very clear that capital punishment was that was his goal, that he was get him elected, and he was going to make sure that Donald Trump was brought up on charges that would lead to a death penalty. And that kind of stuff is insane.
Insane.
And it's normal.
I think that's what makes Democrats, like, I don't like Republicans either, but I think this is what makes Democrats really pernicious, is that they know what they're saying is absolute bullcrap, but they live off the delusions of useful idiots who eat it up, where these useful idiots on college campuses, on Reddit, they genuinely believe that Donald Trump is worse than Adolf Hitler. And so they believe that, yes, we need to go out and kill all the supporters of so-called worse than Hitler. And then this is why left-wing violence has become so normalized in our society, where it seems like there is a left-wing attack in the West every other week. Like, we just had a trans shooter in Canada target multiple children, murder multiple children, and somehow the left is completely silent about that. But if you look at his posts, Matt Walsh was calling out that that shooter's post years ago about, hey, these people are getting really radicalized on the internet, and then nothing's being done because they are a protected class and we can't dehumanize them, and they are somehow protected under civil rights legislation.
And to your point about the protected class stuff, like, the Canadian media wouldn't even come out and say that it was a trans woman. They were saying it was a gun person. The
gun person.
Yeah, the dance that they do only helps the trans people that are the shooter. Like, if you refuse to use the actual biological sex of a person because you're going to offend the trans community, when it was a trans woman, it was a guy that shot these 10 people or something like that, killed his parents, then went to a school and decided to shoot a bunch of kids. If the government and the media still won't come out and say, look, okay, this was a mentally ill person, this was a person that had a disorder and was on drugs, and they totally ignore that stuff, and they say, oh, it was a person, a trans person, a woman in a dress is another thing that I heard someone saying, a woman in a dress about a guy in a dress that was shooting people. The fact that the media still plays into it only helps these people, only protects these people that are carrying out these heinous crimes.
Did you guys see that Canadian police chief, when discussing the trans shooter, they said, we will respect the preferred pronouns of this individual while she was alive? And I was like, why? Someone who goes around killing children deserves no respect.
There was a video of someone saying the first victim in this situation is the trans shooter.
It's ridiculous.
Because of how much they were bullied. Dude, people are so heavily, extremely propagandized now. I mean, Elaad's right. They believe they are fighting evil.
Yeah.
That's genuinely like the mentality that they have.
Unironically. Like,
yeah.
it's hard to emphasize how much they think that right-wingers are legitimately evil and that they are saving the planet.
I think that's like what I take as a global conspiracy to actually do this to the United States to get it to destroy itself from within. So to answer your question, Phil, is this going to keep happening? I think the plan, it looks like, is radicalize the people of the United States by destroying their economy and flooding their country with fentanyl, weird petrochemicals, drugs, feed them crap. They'll eat it in the U.S. They'll ban it in Europe, but they'll eat it in the U.S., make them androgynous, and then have make it normalize it. And then when they fight, then the people are going to be like, the response to like radical, call me my pronoun is, I would rather see you worst of the worst. Are you kidding me? You're going to push me to say something that I know isn't true? Like, you can't compel my speech and behavior. So then what that'll happen is it will radicalize both sides more. And then I think you will see more of this up until people start begging for a technocracy to come in and use spy tech, global spy tech, to make sure no one can do this kind of thing, because we're all being tracked at every moment, like what Larry Ellison wants to do, make us all tracked at every moment so that we can't commit crimes. And people will be begging, even people on the right, begging for this technology to protect them from these crazy trans shooters. And it's like, it's an op. It's an op. Yeah. We're supposed to be free and have gun rights and protect our individuals, you know?
We have this video from Sky News about this particular shooting.
Police say the attacker was dead. When they found her, she had a self-inflicted wound, and she matched the description given in an earlier police alert. Female, wearing a dress with brown hair. That is extremely unusual. It's rare to have a female attacker. Police say the attacker...
Insane. I shouldn't laugh. That's
I mean, the fact that, he says female attacker. Right, like, it is actually not rare at all.
Female attacker with a dress.
It is
with
not
a
rare
massive hog.
Yeah, it's not rare for trans people to go and shoot up schools or whatever anymore. Nowadays, it's actually very common to have trans people that are attacking, society in one way or another. So the fact that was Sky News, the fact that the anchor for Sky News was not just, not just talking about what had happened, but actually even trying to tell people that that this is a rare thing, that because women don't do this. And it's like, look, it wasn't a woman, it was a guy.
I mean, a girl in a dress with brown hair might as well be Ian any other day of the week. I do think there's a serious overlap with mental illness and them being trans. So we are seeing this increase in trans shooters. And I think a big part of that is because they are dealing with serious mental illness, and again, in an unironic, in a serious way.
Absolutely, I would love to stop focusing on the transgender aspect or transsexual aspect of the human. Focus more on if someone is warped, if someone is broken mentally, if they've been. That's the problem. Whether
the mentally ill are being taken advantage of. The autistic people are being taken advantage of. People who are confused about their identity are being taken advantage of. Puberty is a difficult time, particularly for women, and they are being taken advantage of.
People that are compassionate are being taken advantage of. It's the vector of attack of this machine is compassion. They're getting people to use their own feelings of empathy. Like, there's this homeless, dying, sick person on the ground. You wouldn't just leave them there, would you? But then here, bring them all into your house.
But even rolling this back to the how do people get encouraged to transition? It's, again, people who feel legitimately uncomfortable with their bodies, which can be okay, but that doesn't mean you need to butcher your own body. So again, it really is taking advantage of retards, young women, and the mentally ill, because those people are the most susceptible ones to think they have issues with their body and are the most likely to be and most capable of being taken advantage of.
Libby and I were talking about this when we were in Florida on one of the shows. The incidences of anorexia and bulimia have dropped, whereas the incidences of trans men has increased. A lot of it is body dysmorphia. The trans situation that we've got going on, it's actually a manifestation of a bunch of different things. In females and women, it tends to be body dysmorphia, whereas when it comes to trans women, men, it tends to be things like autogynephilia and mental disorder or other mental disorders, but it's manifests as trans.
So if you're a man and you're having body dysmorphia, you're gay? Is what
I mean, there's
or you're just a bitch male.
There's a lot of gay people that are like, oh, you're erasing gay people because you're telling young gay people that actually they're trans, and so there's a big portion of the LGBTQ or LGBT lobby, the LGB lobby, that says,
LGBTQ.
yeah, that says, oh, this trans stuff is actually erasing gay people. It's an attack.
Well, that's why
on gay people.
you've seen like a large part of the gay population disassociate from the trans movement. The other thing that I think is really interesting is seeing some of the detransition now. Where like it was almost like a fad at school and everyone was doing it. So now I'm, and you see these people that are detransitioning and telling their story about that, and the way they get attacked by the trans community is mind blowing.
Because
it's I'm talking serious threats.
Because what's worse than an enemy is a traitor. And so if they view you as a traitor, they view you with so much more contempt than they do the enemy, right? So they'll view us as the enemy, the far-right fascists who want to take away their rights and everything and genocide them. But then they see detransitioners and they're like, oh, you are with us, but now you betrayed us.
You're not just an infidel,
and so
you're
that's
an apostate.
why.
Getting people. There you go, back to the Muslim.
Yeah, seriously, you're an apostate. It's
different.
You look like a revert with that beanie on.
Hey, what can I say?
Hey, dude, I'm gay and a Muslim, dude. What do you want?
Talking about
getting people to turn on huge segments of society is like genetically we're predisposed to genetically being like pointed at the enemy and go probably because our ancestors, those were the people that survived. They weren't the good guys, but they were the people that would mobilize the masses and get them to kill a bunch of people. And they're like, see, now we're in charge. And it's like it's so easy to manipulate people into hating and killing. It's got to be we evolved to a point where we stop that way of being. It's got to happen. Like if there's going to be a great war superseded by AI that like takes care of people that are psychotic, I don't know, man. I don't like it.
That's how we turn men into men again, dude.
War.
We go to war.
Make a trip to Taiwan. I don't know if Kingman wants to come. I know they have some ethnic beef, but
no, I like the
maybe the rest of us?
Taiwanese.
Okay.
I do like the Taiwanese.
You're talking about detransitioners. There was just a detransitioner that was awarded $2 million because her mother felt pressured by the psychologist and by the doctor. The child was 15 when she started dressing like a boy and began social transition, and then 11 months later was when she got surgery. 11 months. She got it at 16 years old.
It's particularly pernicious for young women because when young women start puberty, it's a very traumatic time for them. They're used to being viewed in one way without breasts, and now they're beginning to be sexualized, and they just want to stay the way it was. And, they don't want to be viewed differently by their peers. And that doesn't mean they're not a woman anymore, but the way that it manifests in the way people try to abuse them is by encouraging them to be men and telling them that they're men and tricking them and saying a double mastectomy. It'll go back to how things were beforehand, but it's not the truth. And misleading young women, I think, is particularly traumatic. And Davey, I think you were spot on. Part of why they get so much hate too is because they delegitimize the cause so effectively. So I actually know some detransistors, dude.
Hell yeah.
And they all say the same thing. When they were younger, they were going through puberty and felt like they were being taken advantage of. I also know women with large breasts who, when they were younger, tell me like, hey, this really changed the way how I was being viewed by others, and it made me feel very uncomfortable in my own body. And I thought that I wasn't a man. I was a man because of that, or at least not a woman. But again, it's just, the troubles of going through puberty, which again could be a very tumultuous time for people. And it's really sad because these are our most vulnerable people in our society being taken advantage of. Thankfully, though, I think we are heading a little bit in the opposite direction.
Oh, yeah. Chloe Cole stepped out into the oncoming traffic and like blasted the world with the truth like 4 years ago.
Amazing, yeah.
She's so awesome. And now she's 22, had her breasts cut off when she was 15 or something crazy, fast-tracked through.
And, to that point about, that happening as teenagers, if you talk to normies, right, people that are not particularly politically aware, they'll tell you, no, that doesn't happen to kids. They don't do it to kids. It's only
no idea, dude.
They have no idea.
There's so much ignorance about that.
Oh, they're so confident.
They'll attack you in the comments on social media. This doesn't happen. This isn't a real thing. And then you show them a couple examples. Well, that's just like, no, dude, it's very common.
Yep. Yeah.
And
they have no idea the kind of books that is being shown to kindergartners and preschoolers. It's absolutely insane. I really do think it's really sad because whether it's anorexia and bulimia or it's the modern social contagion of transgenderism, in regards to women, it's like all these young women all just want to be loved, right? They just all want to be loved, and all of these social contagions are just attacks on their very rudimentary and just very basic desire to be loved. And this is why it's like very important as men too, where, I do rag on women a lot on social media, but I really do. It's because I care.
Because you don't have a hot girlfriend, dude.
You're a
Yeah,
Korean
that's
man,
true.
That's why. Right?
Yeah. No, but I do care about the general well-being of women because I believe that men and women should complement one another.
Yeah.
And as men, yes, we need to call out the faults and the sins of women in modern society, but we also need to step up as men and show women that, hey, like there are good men who exist.
Yes, 100%.
Where we can be fun, we can be crass, we can crack jokes and all these things, but we also mean business and we will protect you when push comes to shove, and to give them that security. And just to let them know, like, hey, it's okay to be a woman.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really needed because healthy masculine energy complements and brings out healthy feminine energy, and then the vice versa. Healthy feminine energy brings out healthy masculine energy.
Are you guys familiar with that? There was a trend or whatever that was going on Instagram and TikTok where like a girl would be like, "Oh, what's going through my head?" when we're walking down the street, and she's like, "Da da da da," like not paying attention to anything, and then she goes to and it switches to her boyfriend. That's like, "Okay, that guy looks weird. We're gonna move over here. Okay, if someone comes out this door," and it's like that really kind of encapsulates what a relationship should be like. You allow, by being a man that will take care of your woman and protect your girlfriend or your wife or whatever, and protect your family and take the responsibility that comes along with that. You allow the woman to go ahead and say, you know what, I trust this guy. I believe that he'll protect me, so I can worry about things that, that I can, women don't want to worry about. Women don't want to worry about being attacked and stuff like that. You hear women, and particularly feminists and stuff, they say, we shouldn't have to worry about this and we shouldn't have to worry about that. I shouldn't have to. And you know what? To be honest with you shouldn't. You're right. And it's terrible that there are people out there that will take advantage of you and hurt you. But we live in the real world, and that kind of danger has been a reality for all of human history.
And it always will be.
Yeah, and it always will be. And so that's why if you're a man, you're responsible for taking care of your girlfriend. That's why if you're a man, it is expected that like if some dude comes up, you're gonna be the one that gets in the way and gets punched in the face, and that's what happens.
Wait, I mean,
Rolls jujitsu.
dude.
I'm gonna do the punching. I'm gonna do the punching.
Kingman, I think you solved the issue to the female trans issue. It's really just male love. That's all they need.
Yeah, that's why I said in the beginning, right? Like women untethered from healthy masculine authority become crazy, and so they just need good male figures in their life. Yep. And that's really all it is. It's
What do the
really
dudes that
boys
become
become men?
women need then?
Fathers need to put the porn down.
Dudes that become women?
Need to put the porn
What do
down.
they need?
Yeah, they need to put the
also
porn down.
masculine love. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's a lot of type of love too. It's an interesting concept because the Greeks broke it into 8 different types of love. There's erotic love. That's not necessarily. There's like love of self. There's love of the community. There's familial love. There's friendship, love of friendship. There's flirtatious love, and like a child needs to see a man exact all of those with his wife in order to emulate and to know like it can be safe. Like it's okay to be a girl.
The best thing you can do the best thing a man can do for his children is to love his wife in front of them, like not sexually, but like in front of them. Treat your child's mother well, and that's going to teach the child how to treat women and treat the opposite sex. Because the kid's like, that's mom, right? Like a little kid is like, that's mom. I love her. She's the best thing in the world, blah, blah, blah. If he sees dad disrespecting her or being aggressive with her or just being crappy, like he's going to think that's how you're supposed to treat him. So the best thing that a father can do for a child is to love that child's mother.
Well, it conditions...
love her openly and love her fully.
It conditions the boys to understand, okay, this is how I treat women. And it conditions the girls to believe this is what I deserve.
Exactly.
Right? So it is very symbiotic.
Yep.
But also at the same time, I do have a lot of trans friends and trans female friends, not trans guy friends, obviously. No.
Wait, trans female, male or female friends?
They are now female.
Okay.
And some of them are hot, dude. I don't think we can overlook that.
Why do I feel like you didn't say no to the pegging?
Hey, hang on, dude.
Dude, are you trans?
Whoa. No, let's not get that rumor started. I'm gay and I'm trans and I'm Muslim.
Because both you and Ian are very pretty with the long hair, very silky. I don't know. Maybe
I'm a trans.
You're calling dudes pretty.
Dude, don't make me throw it on the table right now, bro.
Kingman, I was gonna say Koreans look the most androgynous. So if anything, you might be the prettiest one at the table.
And it's actually funny. No,
If you wanted to go trans, I think you do the most convincing job of anybody at the table. I don't know.
No,
Can
he
you
would be the
grow
hottest.
any facial hair?
He would be the hottest.
You cannot grow a mustache.
I
Can you?
can't. I
lip
can't.
injections
on your
mustache, I
Beautiful.
can.
You
Not
have
a
two
beard,
hairs
a
on your
mustache.
chest.
That's the craziest insult I've ever heard in my life.
No, it's funny because I did go
That's
viral.
such soft skin.
When-
Oh, yeah, I'd bang you, dude. Absolutely.
when I pissed off the Indians earlier last year, they made a viral meme of me where they took my profile picture and then they put some makeup on me and a wig, and they're like, "Look, Korean men and Korean women, what's the difference?" I went crazy viral, so viral, still going viral right now. Where some kids in my church are like, "Hey, is this you?" Like even kids are seeing it. The kids are
You're
seeing
just
it.
jealous, bro.
I know.
It's a
but
bad
funny.
sign when someone's bringing up a picture. Is this you?
I know.
You
It's so funny
I used
though.
to do theater in like my junior year. I played Laertes and Hamlet.
Oh, he's gayer.
I look at myself. You're gonna love this. Wait, it gets better. And then I look at myself in the mirror and be like, I would make a hot chick. But then that doesn't make me gay.
What?
Dude, you could be the next Blair White, dude.
We're gonna.
Well, I do want to say one last
Blair
thing.
was like, I think I'm
please,
just
please.
a cross-dresser. Blair said that one time.
I think everything we just discussed, it really does remind me of why I hate feminism so much.
Yeah.
Because it really breaks the bonds that daughters have with their fathers
Yeah.
and wives have with their husbands. Where, you go to any wedding ceremony, right? The father walks the bride down the aisle and then hands her off to the groom.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh, it's symbolic. No, it's literal. It's literal because she goes from the protection of her father now to the protection of her husband.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
But feminists have convinced the woman that, no, you don't need no man. You do your thing, boss babe. You go queen. And it's like, no, even feminists say we shouldn't have to live in fear. Yes, you shouldn't. But the solution to bad men is not to put down men, it's good men.
Yeah.
And no matter how much women try to convince themselves that they are strong as men, as quick as men, in any situation, men will always overpower women. So the solution to women's safety and their flourishing is not to put down men and try to convince women that they can be like men and just make inferior versions of men out of women, but is to encourage and honor good men. Say, hey, we encourage you guys, we appreciate you guys, and we honor you guys in how you guys look out for us and protect us.
Yeah.
And that is the solution, I believe, really, to all the gender debate, where women need to uplift men and men need to be willing to protect and provide for women.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. We're going to jump to this story here from the New York Post, right? Yeah, from the New York Post. Olympian Ellen Gu's decision to snub U.S. and ski for China is nothing short of a hypocrisy, and I agree. Yeah. The champion, it's easy being Eileen Gu?
Eileen, I think.
Eileen Gu. The champion freestyle skiers.
She's half white.
Guys, we could fix her. We could fix her.
She's happy.
The champion freestyle skier said the other day after she had to settle for a silver medal in an event at the Olympics that sometimes it feels like I'm carrying the weight of two countries on my shoulders.
Deport her.
Gu would be carrying the weight of only one country if she had chosen to represent her native USA at the Games rather than a hostile totalitarian state. Gu skis for China, a choice that is a little like deciding to represent a fascist country during the 1930s. China is bent on undermining U.S. power and supplanting Western values. It runs a gulag and has established a surveillance state that would make George Orwell blush.
I think she did this in the last Olympic as well, where she defected.
Yeah, she did.
I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
right word.
I'd give her my goo.
Did you say defected?
She shouldn't
This
be
is the
let
only
back in.
thing on his mind.
Sorry.
I think she's a dual citizen, but I don't know if China allows dual citizens, though. I'd need to look into it.
Yeah, so from what I know is that she is suspected to have dual citizenship. I looked this up because this was obviously a huge point of controversy this week, especially among Asian Americans. But it's suspected that she has dual citizenship, but China doesn't allow for dual citizenship. So she hasn't publicly ever stated what her citizenship status is, but we can suspect that she is a dual citizen.
And I believe her mother is a Chinese woman and her father was an American.
Opposite, I think.
Oh.
Because her last name's Gu. Gu's not a white name.
Oh, fact check, true.
Right. But just the fact that she has openly stated in her statements, but also in her conduct at the Olympics by representing China, that her primary allegiance lies with China.
Yeah.
Right.
Therefore,
that is wild.
Yeah, and regardless of what you think about China, right? Regardless of what you think about China, her primary allegiance is to China. That is a foreign state.
Right.
There's no reason for her to keep her American citizenship. Yeah. There's no reason why America should acknowledge her American citizenship because she has abandoned it. So it's like, regardless of what you think about China, regardless of what you think about her politics, the reality is she abandoned her citizenship.
Yeah.
She is more aligned with and more loyal to China over America, so she shouldn't be an American citizen.
This is a point that I make a lot, and I wonder if it actually does have some kind of context with this particular story. If you're a Chinese citizen or have family in China and you're in the United States, you are essentially a national security threat because China has no compunction with applying pressure to your family in China to get you to do something. So I don't know for sure. If, I don't know that she does have that. This is the situation, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if the reason that she's skiing for China is because someone in China is like, you're going to ski for us or else we're going to throw your parents or your grandparents or your sister or what have you in jail if you don't. And that's, like I said, I make this point a lot. If you're a Chinese national here and you have family in China, you are a security threat because whether it be getting a job or studying in some college and some kind of, high-tech field or whatever, like China has no problem doing everything they can to get you to engage in espionage on behalf of China.
The implications of that would be huge. As I understand right now, that's North Korea's MO. I haven't heard of as much of it come out for China. This is definitely a bad example of dual loyalty. However, I will say I think she's just doing what's best for her career. I think she's just a young, naive woman. One side's Chinese. She probably has some affinity for it, and the other side's American, and she probably saw opportunity there.
She's probably getting sponsored by PRC.
Oh, yeah. She's probably taking up nice.
You're going to get way more money.
Look, China could use the medal.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. They don't have a lot of great athletes over there.
I have
But
a
I will
friend
say
of mine-
this. Right now, we orient our military getting ready for a potential Chinese invasion of Taiwan. If every Chinese national in America becomes this sort of national security risk, I don't know really what that means for them and individual liberties in our country, because I would kind of foresee another Japanese internment camp V2 if that were the case. And that's something that could potentially not be too far off, so something to consider. We also have millions of Chinese Americans, patriotic Chinese Americans. Also, many of the Chinese patriots that exist in our country were exiled for one reason or another from China. So, for example, the people at the Epic Times, the Falun Gong, as I understand, are some sort of religious minority, among others that have been banned and kicked out from China. But no, it's a major concern, and her lack of patriotism is disgusting, and maybe we just deport her. Don't let her back in.
There's no way she grew up in China, right?
She grew up here. She did.
Yeah, so
America.
it's just
American
this posturing. It's completely misguided because someone that grew up in China. I tour with Zhao Ying Summers.
Oh, yeah.
She's Chinese. She's a U.S. citizen now, but she loves America.
She's stealing jokes for China.
She is not stealing jokes. How dare you, Phil? Your new name is Phildo after that one, dude. That's what we're calling you. No. But yeah, I mean, she loves and she is so grateful for the opportunities here because she grew up in China. She experienced that life. She's ridiculous.
This girl,
hot but ridiculous.
It says that
It's not even the best picture of her.
she's believed to have dual citizenship, but you can't in China. It's illegal in China to have dual citizenship. You're either Chinese or you're not.
They get it, dude. Meanwhile, we've got a mayor in New York City who still holds dual citizenship.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
I don't know.
he's
If they
doing-
get it in China, they're doing a pretty shitty job, because I would never want my country to be anything like the Chinese society. So
I think she's an
we must be
American
doing something
citizen.
right.
It's ambiguous. Her citizenship
we were
is
talking about.
ambiguous.
Well, I
but-
mean, the thing is, China does what's best for China. So if it's good for China for her to have dual citizenship, then that's what China's.
I need to go do a lot more
it's
research
not-
on Goo, dude. I need to look her up and do a deep dive on this.
This happened the last
real
Olympics too.
deep dive.
That's why we're familiar with her.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine from Utah. I think he's from New York originally, but he literally lives in China and gets paid money to teach Chinese kids how to ski. A lot of the Chinese kids are just gymnasts, and they put skis on their feet and say, okay, now go flip that jump. And he teaches them how to be that person. So like, it's not like they have, natural born skiing talent in China that they have readily available to them. So they have to they have to outsource, unfortunately, to Chinese Americans. I think that's what we're seeing here. And I agree, like, dude, if you're going to choose that, even though you have like a American Californian accent, and you're going to choose to be Chinese, like, I mean, it's a pivotal point in history to be doing that. So
here's a question, ethically, for you, Kangmin. If you were going to serve in the Olympics of some sort of your expertise, and in the U.S., you were like 70th ranked, but you were number 1 in South Korea, and they wanted to primary you, give you all the money, would you go play for South Korea?
That's tough. That's really tough because my situation is I was born in Korea and I was raised here in America, but most of my life I was.
Wait, you're a dual citizen?
No, I'm not. So I was a Korean citizen. But then in college, I gave that up and I became an American citizen.
By choice.
Hell yeah, dude. Renounced his citizenship?
By choice.
That's a real one right there.
So
you can stay.
It's a little complicated, though, because as I understand the world a little more and I develop in my political philosophy and my beliefs, my affinity for Korea inevitably grows. Like, as a right-winger, I believe in heritage. I believe in ancestry. I believe in inheritance. I believe in these things. And so when I think about my ancestry, well, I come from thousands of years in Korea. I can trace my ancestry all the way back to my founder. I actually visited his grave when I was in Korea last month. And it's like, well, this is where I come from. And so I'm still wrestling through whether or not I'm willing to give that up to fully commit to being an American, because I love America and I really do. But I still understand that I'm an immigrant. I'm a guest. And so, people always say, I say things like, oh, foreign nationals or foreigners should not hold political office in your country. And they're like, oh, so you don't think you should be able to? I'm like, yeah. I don't think I should.
I agree.
I was born in a foreign country and I should not be able to hold public office in America.
People try that all the time. Like, I don't think that the vote should be universal enfranchisement. I think there should be like real.
Wait, let's rewind this.
No, hold on. And people always say, they're like, oh, what, you don't think that you should be able? Would you give up your right to vote in a second, in a heartbeat? Because like, if it meant that we were going to have a class of citizens that were like actually aware of what the 3 branches of government do and what their job is, those are going to be the people that were voting, as opposed to like every Tom, Dick, and Harry that thinks that they're going to vote for a king. Then yes, I would absolutely give up my right to vote, because I'm one of 150 million people that can vote. Your individual right to vote is not that valuable. So sorry, go ahead, Elaad.
I think there's a lot of cope surrounding foreigners being in elected office in the United States. I mean, I think it's extremely patriotic what you did. You came from a different country, you were born in a different country, and you chose to abandon that citizenship because you embraced American values so deeply. However, at the same time, you think, I don't know, we should reject people like you from holding elected office. I think immigrants like you, people who, chose to assimilate to the degree in which they did, is a good thing, and kind of like the American dream. And if you had the opportunity to run for office and the American people chose to elect you, then I think I don't see any issue with it. We live in a democracy where people pick who their representatives would be. And frankly, it's anti-American, as I understand. We only have laws against the president not being an American-born person. But as far as the rest of the elected officials go, Kangmin, I think you can be one of them, even though you weren't born in the U.S. of A.
Dude, I've also struggled with this myself because I was born outside the United States and became an American as well. But along with what Elaad is saying, if you become an American, you have to learn a lot more about the country. You have to learn a lot how the system works, who did what when, basic history stuff that you need to know in order to properly represent America as an American, I would say. And I've done all that stuff because I've had to do that. I feel like it made me I have much more affinity for America, and I understand why America does these things and why America works this way. And to be fair, we used to have civics classes, which we taught in this country, and we stopped that stuff. And when we stopped that stuff, we've started to see way more people be like disenfranchised, feeling disillusioned with the country, feeling like, oh, I don't really have anything to do with it. So I think maybe it doesn't necessarily mean like we're more or less American than another person, but it does mean that like we care about this idea, which America is. America is an idea and has always been an idea of other people from other backgrounds coming to bring forth the idea that all men are created equal under God. Well, I think that's important.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I just fundamentally reject that America is an idea. America's a people, and so
it is a people.
Yeah. So
if America's a people, are you included in it?
Well, I'm an immigrant, and so I think you can assimilate and have people become part of your people.
It's a culture.
But it's like another analogy. I always use Korea because Korea is, I'm Korean. I come from Korea. But let's say we have Korea, right? And then a Japanese person comes and begins, learns Korean, speaks Korean, and assimilates into Korea. Is that Japanese person Korean? No, absolutely not. But if that Japanese person marries a Korean and then for many generations assimilates, and to the extent like they're indistinguishable from other Koreans, they're Korean, right? So there are immigrants who can assimilate, and for many generations,
well, they wouldn't be Korean. It would be the offsprings down the line that you would perceive as being Korean. Wait, so one more thing. So if America isn't an idea and a people, isn't that exclusionary to people like you? Or
that's fine.
Okay.
It's a culture, I think, as well. When I say idea, I mean it's a culture because it's shared beliefs, it's shared like fundamental mores. It is also people's home. People have been born here, people live here. I understand what that means. I know exactly what that means. I'm not trying to besmirch that in any way, but I am here to say like, America is important. I even posted on my Twitter yesterday being like, if it means that America becomes the shining city on a hill that it should be as this hope for humanity, I would be like the first on the boat going back. Send me to South Africa, bro. I'm out of here because I believe that America needs to succeed. That's how much I feel.
Yeah, but the world needs it.
It's so important.
The world needs the United States.
The world needs the U.S.
The reason it succeeds
Humanity
is because
needs the US.
we take people like you and put them on the boat. And you too. We need you as an American citizen. We need the best people on earth because we're trying to create the best government on earth. So I think you're fully, maybe an immigrant. I think it's I don't know, you say fully, you're fully American, dude. You probably understand civics better than I do.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's like
Kingman,
my caveat.
you're one of us. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But
what do you mean by us?
Wait, am I part of it? I don't know. I was born here. I wasn't born in any foreign country like you two immigrants were.
No, here's my point on this, where like America is a people. And then so when you start to get away from this idea that America, and like you can say American is an idea, but then you look at the Constitution and who was the Constitution written for? Who was the country built for? It was
Americans.
Their posterity, right? And so it's for Americans and their posterity. So the posterity, the descendants of those who built America. Now, you can have immigrants assimilate, yes, of course, but the reality is people like me, especially those who come from very different cultures, and of course there's a lot of similarities between the West and the East, but you see this a lot with Somalian immigrants and African immigrants and Arab immigrants and all these things where, yes, you're going to have patriots, those who love America and very grateful for America, not only for its economic opportunity, but for what America stands for, its traditions, its customs, its history, its myth, its legends, its values. Yes, but I'm a rarity. I am a rarity. You know how many times I've been called a race traitor on the internet and online? You know how many friends I've lost?
Koreans have been the model minority, however.
No, but the thing is, most Korean Americans don't think the way that I do. And this is where Korean Americans are, even the ones who agree with me, are still a minority among most Korean Americans who, yes, Korean Americans who moved here, yes, they all agree with me. But the children of Korean Americans, the second generation, the third generation, they largely disagree with me. They are very left-wing. Asian Americans, especially Asian American women, are the most liberal demographic in America by far.
Dangerous.
So, that's why I say it's like, if me not being able to run for office prevents people like Mazie Hirono from being in office, absolutely. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because those who should make the rules and enact legislation and lead the country should be Americans. In the same way, I wouldn't want to see, Indians or Japanese or all these different, or white people, God bless all you guys, lead and be in parliament in Korea, in the National Assembly in Korea, be the president of Korea, things like that, right? So, people say I'm a self-hating immigrant. No, like I love who I am, right? I am Korean, but I'm also Korean American because I grew up in America. So I'm an American, but I'm Korean. So I'm still struggling through that identity.
Well, you're ethnically Korean. You're not a citizen of the ROK. You're an American citizen.
Right. But like anywhere I go in the world, right? They'll instantly recognize me as Korean first. When I go to Korea, they never speak to me in English first. They speak to me in Korean first. Why? Because I look Korean and I come from Korea.
In Korea, they view you still as a Korean.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
because it's just, that's who I am, right? So I'm still struggling and I'm still wrestling through this identity crisis that I have. But ultimately, I love America, I love America. I love its Christian foundation, the rich history that America has. I do not apologize for America's history at all. People say disavow this. Yes, there were flaws in every nation's history, but I love America so much. But at the same time, I recognize that I'm an immigrant. I'm a guest, and I want America to be America as much as possible, which is America for its descendants. And that's what I believe.
I don't want you voting, but at the same time, I don't want any of us voting either.
We vote. We don't have an ethnicity in the U.S. That's the difference about this country, like almost every other country on earth, especially the older countries. There's no ethnic thing to go back to. Like
I do believe that there was an ethnogenesis in America at its founding. I do believe that it was mainly West Africans and white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And that was the ethnogenesis of America, where, yes, like those West Africans and the foundational Black Americans, they call themselves that today, right? But they are Americans. I believe that they are Americans, but there was a distinct ethnogenesis, I believe, in American history when at the foundation of America, it was white Anglo-Saxon Protestants and West Africans. And now, doesn't mean that if you're not of those lineages that you can never become American. No, I don't believe that. Like some of the greatest Americans in history have been like Italian immigrants and things like that, right? But I think we have to be real. I love the Italians. The Italians are great.
It's funny you bring up Africans because I don't know if y'all noticed, but I had to go take an extremely long pee break because of pool water.
I noticed.
Yeah. And while I was in there, I came up with the solution to all of this, guys.
What is it?
This fixes everything. We have to get Kangmin a Black wife so that he can then populate, hear me out, so you can populate America with Blasians. Dude.
I think if anything, we need more Eileen Goos. I don't know if we need more.
Imagine if
who was the
Eileen
golfer
Goo.
again?
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we need more Tiger Woods?
Well, Tiger
more
Woods is
Heinz
a little
Wards?
different. No, you just got to make sure you got the right
Sticky
combo.
fingers, Mr. Ward.
Yeah, Blasian babies.
How
I'm
black?
finding you a Black wife. That's what I'm
Kangmin,
saying.
what do you think about that?
Yeah, Black women love me. They love me.
You love them?
I love Black women as well. I don't think I'd marry one.
Whoa!
You're
ruining the whole thing.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm ruining the
You know what? If you don't like
He
Black
can't even
women,
joke about that. He can't even joke about dating.
if he doesn't like Black women, he cannot wear a quarter turtle like that. Absolutely not.
Where's
No.
the correlation?
There's a direct correlation. I think we all know.
Are you looking
fellas?
for a Korean wife or yeah?
Don't you want to marry a real American Black woman? You know, who was descended from a descendant of
Maybe.
Look how well it turned out
maybe
for
if it's
Bill
Nicki
Burr, dude.
Minaj. Maybe it's
what I'm
I think she's
talking about.
Nigerian. I don't think she's
Trinidad.
Oh, she's a Trinidad.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
Trinidad and
So would you prefer, I mean, we could go to super chats too. I think we got a boatload of people that want to chime in, but like, would you marry like a Korean chick or like an American girl that's Korean heritage? If you
Would you put your goo in goo? I mean, that's
I wouldn't put my goo in goo.
unbelievable.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? She's an American.
I'm no longer the gayest guy. I am no longer.
The only other question I had, you don't have to answer the last question. What's the biggest difference between American culture and Korean culture? The number one.
Koreans.
Put that aside.
Nailed it.
Because I find imperialistic nature of Eastern Asia is very important in those cultures, but I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
I guess like American, I think this is kind of the distinction between America and the rest of the world, but I think America is still very individualistic versus Korea is individualistic in certain regards for sure, but they're still broadly collectivist. And so there's so many things you can break that down into in different how that manifests in different ways in society. But I think that's one way. Of course, you know, like the food we consume and the language we speak.
Even bigger than that, Koreans are patriarchal. They're a patriarchal society and a patriarchal people with deep respect for their elders and particularly the men. That's completely lacking here. I've had some Korean friends growing up, and that's one of the things that I really appreciated about their society and culture. But it really can't be understated, their respect for like the actual patriarchy. Here in America, that's what they're trying to tear down.
It's because Confucianism was like the main religion before Japanese annexation, and then during Japanese colonialism, Christianity like boomed, and so Christianity became the dominant religion in Korea. But because of the Confucian roots, like Confucianism is very big on filial piety and respecting your elders and your ancestors, and very patriarchal. So that's why. But they're trying to do away with a lot of that in Korea.
Big mistake.
Because a lot of the liberals are like, oh, we live in a different era, times are different.
I think a lot of Americans need to travel to Asia. Like when I went to Japan, right after I got caught in TSA with a pew-pew in my backpack on accident, while I was there, what was shocking to me was the honor society. I think that there's like this culture of honor, right? Like you don't talk on public transit. If you're on the bus or the train, you keep your voice down and everyone's very quiet. They don't have public trash cans in Japan because your trash is your responsibility. It's not on the public whatever to take care of that. You got to take. So there's this honor that I think we need some of that.
In America, when there's not a trash can around, people just throw shit on the floor.
Yeah, dude.
In Japan, they don't have a trash bag. They put it in their pocket and wait until they go home.
Exactly.
I mean,
we need some of that, dude.
Yeah, you go to India, like trash is literally, it belongs on the floor in India. But no, I think that's actually.
Some might say it's just trash.
That's actually a good point because when I was in Korea, whenever I go to Korea, I can leave my laptop, I can leave my belongings. Just anywhere. I just leave it there. I go to the bathroom, I go do something else. I come back, it's there. It's always there.
Same thing if you go to a ski resort in the United States.
That's a
because who's not at ski resorts?
You know, well, I mean, it's the truth. You see all this expensive equipment, everyone just leaves it around.
That's true. That's true.
So, all right, we're gonna go to your Rumble rants and your super chats right now. So smash the like button, share the show with all your friends. Go to timcast.com and become a member there, where you can join our Discord. Normally, we go and do the after show, but today's Friday, so there will be no after show. But if you join the Discord, you can call into the show. You can ask questions of our guests. You can ask questions of the cast. And then you want to head over to rumble.com and become a member there. Again, for the after show, the Rumble after show, Monday through Thursday, is uncensored, where we can say things that will get us in trouble on YouTube, which is still kind of annoying. But anyways, we're going to go to your super chats and Rumble rants right now. Wyatt Claddenberg says, Don Lemon, journalist or political propagandist? I think he's a political propagandist, my honest opinion. I think that nowadays the left and the right have become so ossified and so separate that it's really hard to find people that are just telling you the news. There might be some outlets out there that really do try to give you both sides of the story, but they're very few and far between, particularly because most people go to the internet for their news and they go to places that kind of feed them things that they want to hear generally. Do you guys have a different take
The lines
on that?
between activism and journalism is becoming increasingly blurred. In my experience covering journalism, it's all activists with motivated reasoning with their journalism. Why do you think people usually stumble upon the stories that they do? It's because they're choosing to research into the things that they don't like. So that line is getting scrubbed, not only on the left, but on the right as well, just writ large in our society.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as impartial, unbiased journalism, though. Everyone has a bias. Everyone has their own personal beliefs that motivate them to do what they do, like you said, to look out for the stories and research the stories that they do.
Yep.
And so there's no such thing as unbiased journalism. Oh, real journalism is dead. It's all propaganda. It's all, to a certain extent, propaganda. It's just a matter of we have to be able to discern what is truth and what is fiction, and be able to kind of wade through, hey, like, this person has a left-wing bias and this person has a right-wing bias, and then just like get to the fullness of the truth.
Well, I think people understand that all media is biased. All journalism is biased, and that's why you've seen this huge wave going towards independent journalists. Because at least if I'm going to be getting biased news, let me get it from the people that I agree with or that agree with me. And that's what's happening right now. And I mean, whether you like it or not, it's kind of cool, But I always say you don't hate the media and you don't hate politicians enough.
So true.
That's absolutely true.
Some people want to know what happened, and then other people want to know how to feel about what happened.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous mindset. If you ever find yourself wondering how you're supposed to feel about something, you probably don't need to hear about it from someone else.
But that's the majority of people, though. The majority of people want to know how to feel about what happened, and that's just how people are, because most people, even if they're politically inclined, they still defer to authority. And because we are all we all are, like, it's ingrained in all of us to be submitting to some sort of authority. And we all in our own lives have authority figures that we all defer to in certain aspects of life, or even like certain beliefs. Like as Christians, they defer to their pastors. Children, they defer to their parents. Hassan Piker's audience defers to Hassan Piker, things like that, right?
Terrible idea.
So the reality is most people, and this is why we always have an elite class in society, because the elite class end up being the people who are the ones who dictate the discourse and things like that. And then the rest of the populace are the ones who kind of follow along, whoever the leaders are. And that's just how society is always structured.
It's just herd mentality, baby.
Yeah.
Patriot Paladin says, I could go to another country, renounce my citizenship, gain new citizenship, take office, and subvert the will of the country. That's why you can't become the president in the United States if you're not from the United States. And I do think that that's a good argument for why people shouldn't hold office if they're a first generation immigrant. I mean, look, I know there are a lot of people that make us think about it one way or the other. I don't honestly think that it's that big of a deal if you're like, look, if you're a first generation immigrant, you can't become, a politician. It's not a big ask to be like, hey, wait until you're, or you don't do it. Your kids could, I mean.
Or at least just renounce your other citizenship. I mean, Ted Cruz, for as much as I dislike him, at least he renounced his Canadian citizenship.
He was always an American citizen because he was born to American parents. I'm pretty sure.
But he had dual citizenship in
He
Canada.
was born in Canada, so he had dual
renounced it.
citizenship, and he just renounced the Canadian citizenship. Yeah, I don't think that's a tall ask.
Look, if you go to another country and you become a citizen of that country and they have a democratic process and vote you in, that's their problem. I guess that's just how democracies work, in my view.
I just defer to the founders. I just want to go back to America a little more.
I don't
like
understand, Kingman. The founders didn't say foreigners can't become citizens and then, go through the democratic.
Well, absolutely.
I guess the founding fathers didn't say most people who vote now can vote. So I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah, most of the states, you had to be a Christian to hold
The
public
founders
office.
would not recognize the country that we stay in at all. 50 states. What are we talking about? Like the expansion of power, the Supreme Court, judicial review. What are we talking about?
Imagine if you showed a founder hentai. Oh my God.
They'd be like,
Blow their mind, dude.
It'd be like, this is blasphemy. You're going to hell. You need to go to church.
Go to church.
Let's see. Is this an actual? Yeah. Dom117 says, in Timcast tradition, my wife started labor for our fourth and final child Elwin. She'll say hi sometime tomorrow. Everyone else needs to catch up if we are to beat the commies. Absolutely.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Love that, dude.
Thank
Have
you
those
for
babies.
Bringing another patriot
What a
into the
queen.
world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Get it done.
Let's see. We got another one. Decepticon Brian, I think it is. My wife and I are in the delivery room waiting on our first boy to be born. Our wonderful and joyous blessing, Gabriel Griffin. Excited to be a father and raise another patriot. God bless Timcast crew.
Let's go.
All right, let's go.
I like the alliteration on the name too. Gabriel Griffin.
Yeah.
Heck
It's,
yeah.
GG. Oh yeah.
I hope the last name isn't
Allen?
Doesn't start with a G. It's definitely not G.G. Allen. Let's see. Excuse me. Angry Old Man says, Squeeze the Lemon by Daniel Plisark, available on all platforms. I guess it's an ad for his, hopefully, his book. I don't know.
Squeeze the lemon.
Chief Corey Anderson says, the DOJ should get information off of Lemon's phone, drop charges against him, then release a press release thanking him for his help and cooperation. Two birds, one stone. No one would trust Lemon.
Oh,
I mean,
classic.
like, yeah, if they're just
I
like,
love
hey,
that.
he was our guy from the start. No, I wasn't. He'd be tossed under the bus.
Be ostracized.
They're throwing Will Stancil under the bus.
His white husband would divorce him, dude.
I feel so bad for that guy.
I don't.
I
don't.
What's this Will Stanton?
Will Stansel's he's a leftist, and he's been a very vocal leftist and pushing basically every leftist idea that you you could possibly have.
Guess what? It wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't enough. No.
He was attacked by ICE protesters.
It wasn't enough.
Physically attacked. Yeah.
Dude, if you can't be Will Stancil,
Yeah.
and that's still not like left enough, like they're coming for you.
I mean, but that to your point though, like it's not enough. Like as soon as someone believes that you have somehow become a traitor, which we were talking about earlier, then they ostracize you and they attack you, with the full force of the left because they look at you as a traitor and they're
Look
like,
what happened to Stephen A. Smith and Van Jones.
oh, true.
The comments that they made around Charlie Kirk. I mean, they went after those guys.
Yeah, the left is absolutely ruthless, and in today's climate, when violence is so accepted on the left, just being on the left, you're in danger. And this is part of the reason why cancel culture works so well. The first people that were getting canceled before it started making its way into the broader society were people on the left. If you were in these niche groups or whatever, you said the wrong thing, people would pile on you,
Have you followed the Scotty K fitness thing at all?
I have followed that a little bit.
I don't want to derail or anything, but that's a perfect example of what you're talking about. Dude. He put himself in this echo chamber, and then come to find out, ooh, he's got a little bit of a background. So now, I mean, he's just crumbling.
And they're more ruthless than the right will ever be. They are absolutely ruthless. They will go after you in every way they can. They'll dox you.
But the right's going after their own too now. I mean, I've experienced it.
Yeah,
just because I didn't condemn Bad Bunny. Just they were like, oh well, I'm going to unfollow you.
Well, I mean,
lost.
Garbage comments on the internet. Yeah,
what was that?
About AI garbage comments. If the people you're thinking of are just comments, don't trust any of it. Any of it. They might even be real people. They might not. Could be AI trying to
some of them were real people.
But to your point about like, oh, well, I'm going to unfollow you and stuff. Like, if that's the extent of it. It's like, all right, so people are going to, leave nasty comments on your ex account. That's not the same thing as like, we're going to your house. Right. You know what I mean? And that's the stuff that the left does. The left shows up at your house. They'll protest. You as a comic, they would protest your show.
Oh, it happened to me in New York, dude. They canceled all my shows in New York because I had made a joke about Muhammad. Peace be upon him, obviously. But
wasn't forever.
Piss be upon him, yeah.
Okay, whoa, dude. Hey, look, I'm Olive Snack Bar, guys. Aloha Snack, whatever it is.
It sort of indicates like maybe those are the bad guys, the people that turn on each other. And you would see, like, if you could step back from the whole game of humanity and be like, okay, I think that's the bad. Those are the evil people. No, not that everybody's evil or bad, but like the people that will turn on each other because they're not in lockstep are pretty much the Decepticons. Like, that's a
good point.
But you see, Ian, they call themselves the good guys.
Yeah.
And so they can never be the bad guys. Yeah. And they call us the bad guys. So we are always the bad guys. So no matter what they do, they're the good guys, and they are never evil, and we are always evil no matter what we do.
Dude, get a black wife already. My God, bro. Unbelievable.
The key is to like disassociate from good and evil and bad and good, and like stop playing that game, because if you play that game, there's always going to be a bad guy.
Yeah, I think that I disagree with you, because I think there always is going to be a bad guy. Because I mean, look, I'm not a Christian, but I believe there's something in the Bible that says that good and evil run straight through the heart of man, right? Like, men can be, like, human beings are imperfect, and if you give in to your more base instincts and your sinful instincts, you can become evil, and even a good person can do evil.
Yeah,
you can stop preaching at me about the pegging thing, dude. You can. All right, I get it.
All right, Iferion 275 says, Elaad, the whole martyr thing with Lemon, I think, was a complete setup just so he could pull that card. Following his firing from whatever news network, along with the virtual fail of his show podcast, Martyrdom is his new meal ticket rise to relevance.
And the administration played right into it, if that is the case. So it kind of sucks, but, it's still a bitch to have the DOJ rifling through your shit, and I wouldn't wish it upon any of my buddies. So they still have to get a lawyer, and there'll still be legal fees that are associated with him. But again, we wouldn't be talking about him, and nobody in the news would be talking about him otherwise if he didn't get charged.
I'll be honest, I hope we never talk about him again. I don't hate the guy. Have him on the show, but I don't want to glaze this guy and make him famous if we don't have to.
We should bring him on the show. I'm sure he'd decline. I'm sure we've invited him.
He'd ask us a fee, and then when we didn't pay the ridiculous exorbitant fee, he'd say, oh, well, they didn't want to play ball.
All right, screw it. We'll invite his husband.
Hey, there we go.
Kimberly says, my husband Aaron and I are celebrating 11 years married today. Congratulations. Years ago, I became incredibly liberal, and it almost ruined our marriage. Thankful for my husband who led me out of it. The liberal woman circle is a cult.
True.
I'm glad you made it out with your breast.
Yeah. Yeah, not only that, but I'm glad you
survived.
I'm glad you made it out with your marriage intact, because if it wasn't for the fact that you have a good husband, he might have decided to boot you or not tolerate it or whatever. But good on you for changing your mind, and good on your husband for working through that.
Politics ending marriages,
insane.
I don't even know what the fuck to say.
That is so crazy, because I was literally thinking that as he was saying, because the liberal women's circle would have wanted her to leave her husband because he is a fascist, obviously, right? And that is so toxic and poisonous, but I see it constantly. Dude, Threads is a hellscape, dude. It is a hellscape.
And it's not just Threads, but like Blue Sky is just as
I have not even been on there.
It is a cesspool.
No, but Threads is the worst. Simu Liu came after me on Threads, and I kid you not, he just had all of his little bot followers. Oh my gosh, he owned you. Oh my gosh, look at him owning you. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then on X, right, he gets completely destroyed in his replies, and then I ratio him on X. So it's like, once you allow conservatives to speak,
Yeah.
Like it's fair. It's like fair game. We're going at each other, but the threads, like they continuously throttle conservatives, and then it's just all these.
Well, that's shifting though. I think that was like an early thing, and now it's starting to shift a little, but it's still a dystopian hellscape.
Oh, it's all on threads.
I think also in some relationships, people replace familial, like their family, with politics and the people involved in politics, and it's just not a match to be replaced with. Also, I think as people get older, and if they are divorced, then they'll encourage other people in they'll become more political first once you get divorced because you have nothing else to do with your life, and then you'll kind of like encourage the people in your sexes to divorce the other one for political reasons.
Yeah.
And it's just all very sad and unfortunate. Stay married to your significant others as much as you can, of course.
These online communities, that's why they're so dangerous, especially the left-wing ones that radicalize you. Because, like you said, they replace your natural affections and bonds with your family and your immediate community with online ones with strangers, most of the times whose names and faces you don't even know.
It's just a digital cult.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
MSUF15 says, worried Taiwanese American here. Many people aren't voting midterms because Epstein or discontent. CCP is only afraid of Trump and his team. Trump losing the midterms means a win for the CCP and a loss for Christians. Look, I agree. And I think that it's super important to vote. People love to say, oh, this isn't the most important election in your life. They always say it's the most important election in your life. It always is. The reason it always is because we live in linear time. The previous elections you can't go and do anything about, and the elections in the future you can't do anything about. The only thing you can do is vote in the election right now. So yes, it is the most important election ever because it's the one you can vote in right now. It's the one you can actually affect. So
I think we just had a Republican from Florida in Congress resign, so now there's truly a 1-seat majority, depending on how you count Massey. The Republicans are in deep shit, and they're going to lose the midterms inevitably, not only because the Republicans are demoralized right now, but because that is the trend following one party winning the presidential. The other party usually comes back in the midterms. We will see endless investigations and impeachments once Republicans lose the majority. So we're in for a very annoying, lame duck second half of the Trump presidency.
Founding Father 1776 says, I'm 30 and my 5th baby Luca arrived at 7:15 a.m.
Wow.
Amen. Awesome.
I'm 32
Thank you
with
for letting us know.
none.
That guy
you, bro.
couldn't
What the-
pull out of a wet paper bag. That's insane.
And
Five, baby.
And on
I didn't
that-
know women do that many anymore. 5.
And on that note, smash the like button, share the show with all your friends. Go to rumble.com, become a member, and go on over to timcast.com and join the Discord. Kang, do you have anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, God bless you all. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember that Jesus Christ is King and Lord over all, and he loves you very much. My name is Kangmin Lee. I talk about politics, culture, theology, all those things. On my socials, you can find me at Kangmin J. Lee, KANGMIN JLEE. I couldn't do spelling there. Spent too much time in Korea. Just catch me there. Gonna come out with more YouTube content soon, and I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. Davey Jackson, come to a stand-up comedy show. But more importantly, go check out my YouTube. I did a documentary about Dearborn, Michigan. Go to my channel and search Dearborn Undercover. It's really, really cool.
Follow me at Ian Crossland, YouTube, Instagram, and X. Go to graphene.movie. Check out the new documentary that I've been producing. It's going to be great. The trailer's out now. You can sign up for the mailing list and get that. Remember, too, now is the most important moment you will ever have. And that is always the case. Tomorrow, it's still right now. So take advantage of this moment.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I am Elaad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here at Timcast. Shabbat Shalom to everybody who observes. Me and Serge are about to go get Shabbat dinner at a Waffle House, baby. Let's go.
And I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out at allthatremainsonline.com. We're going on tour starting in April on the 29th in Albany. We're going out with Born of Osiris and Dead Eyes. You can check out the music at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget, The Left Lane is for Crime. You can check out clips from Timcast all weekend long, and we will be back here on Monday.